Who let the trolls out? 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 A grown man tied that with his whole chest. Somebody's father is currently doing this. He practiced that in the mirror beforehand. Imagine telling your kids that story. Who let the trolls out? 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 Oh wow, that's edgy. You must be exhausting. A fully formed adult chose this as a hobby. He thought that landed, bless his little heart. Sir, this is a panel, not a cry for help. Who let the trolls out? 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 Say a troll ain't nothing if he ain't got a grievance. Or Charlie wave the grievance. Or Charlie wave it. A troll ain't nothing if he ain't got a grievance. Or Charlie wave the grievance. Or Charlie wave it. Who let the trolls out? 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 He's got a mortgage and he's doing this. Peak performance from a person with a bedtime. That's a whole biography of choices. Somebody loved this man and look what happened. Who let the trolls out? 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 Yippee-yi-yo! Who let the trolls out? Yippee-yi-yo! Yippee-yi-yo! Who let the trolls out? Yippee-yi-yo! Yippee-yi-yo! Who let the
I win.
trolls out? Yippee-yi-yo! Yippee-yi-yo!
What's up, folks? How is everyone doing? Smashing the like button and sharing the live. Do the things. It's the sword. You're good. We are not. It is in your. Good. Mike is out. No, it's It was. Wow.
What?
Yeah, no, I have my mic off. I turned it on now.
But I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm unplugging it.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear the prayer? I mean, I thought I was so close. Did you hear it through Abby's stuff?
I think they heard it through me.
No?
Pray again.
Oh my God. All right, guys, smash the like button, share live, do the things that you need to get going. Wayne, I gave you shit because you've got my name and we've known each other our entire life. What else did I say? I sang the song. Oh my God. I hit the unmute button. I must have hit it double. I must have double pressed it. All right. Lord, thank you for he heard the damn thing. What do I need to tell you guys for it again? Lord, thank you for this day and the blessings. I ask for a good live. If we're not to have a good live, give us the spear, the sword to strike down our opponents. You're good. We are not. It is in your hand. In Jesus' name, amen. Name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit.
Oh, we have a fun story from today.
I do. We do have a fun story.
So, this morning we were talking about ice. Like, not the cold ice, but the police ice.
Yeah.
And then I was telling John about the Discord and how somebody rewatched a.
Okay. So you're doing a terrible job delivering.
Well, I
this.
can't.
Me and Abby are sitting talking about ice and the
I don't
events
wanna
that happen
spoil
in
it.
ice.
That's irrelevant.
Well, you do the Discord part, the end. That's the end.
Well, they don't need to know about our conversation.
Oh, shut up. I got this. You relax. You relax there, little missy. All right, so we're talking about ice. And as we're talking about ice, we're going through like why we think it's good, why we think it's bad, blah, blah, blah. And because of that, I started thinking about an old conversation that I had on TikTok a long while ago where we were doing like Charlie Kirk conversations. I was thinking about talking to this specific lawyer. And I was like, oh yeah, we were talking about this lawyer and we were going about like racial profiling and that's why ice was bad. And then we opened up Discord and lo and behold, somebody posted that exact same conversation right on it. That we were just talking about, we were just thinking, and there it was. And it's like, hey, and they were calling out Stryker for being a bad lawyer because he's a bad lawyer because he tried to use semantics to prove the other guy wasn't a lawyer. But then when it was used against him, he whined and cried about it.
I think my way would have been better.
Well, then do it then.
I'm not going to do it.
Do it.
That's redundant.
Prove it. Prove
redundant.
it. Prove it.
Because you gave it away.
Prove it.
For the people that are in the Discord.
You could do the story, and then the chat can judge whose story is better.
No,
go ahead.
That's redundant.
Do it.
I don't do redundancy.
You don't do redundancy? Then why did you marry me? That is the stupidest claim you've ever made. You don't do redundancy, and you married me, the guy who
marrying you. Redundant.
Yeah, because I don't remember anything ever. So you redundantly have to keep reminding me. You don't do redundancy. Get out of here.
That's different.
How's it different?
Because is it redundant if it's necessary?
Yeah. Wait, no, no, fair point. That's a good point. Can't go 5 seconds without being rebuked. True. I told you I'm never going to let you live it down. But isn't that wild that like that specific thing? Like I have hundreds of conversations. We do like 15 to 20 conversations a day. And like the one we're talking about just happens to be the one that the people post on Discord at that exact same moment. That's crazy. That's crazy. All right, folks, smash the like button, share the live. Today's topic is the same topic it's always going to be for a little while. It's convince me to stop worshiping Jesus, win a taco. We need 20,000 likes before we start taking a guess. Abby, you can open up the shorts chat.
Oh, man. Okay, 1 second. I'll do that, and then I have something to say to you.
Okay. So I should wait on the song?
Yeah, maybe wait.
Okay. Also, no Christians, please and thank you. If you confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, is God, stay out of my chat. Stay out. Where's my what?
Is the thing on there? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So Christopher Killian has been a member for 10 months. Sometimes you can't see these, so... Oh, you can see it, but I'll read it to you anyway. John, I have a crazy idea. Next Tuesday hangout is May the 4th. Uh-huh. You should make a Discord channel where I can send Star Wars videos to react to.
Just put it
in hangout. You just do it in the video into John Reacts, but that's pretty fun.
But is it on brand? Is it Christian?
Oh, wait. Tuesday isn't the 4th. It's the 5th. Monday is the 4th.
Yeah, but it's Return of the 5th. Right? So it's still a Star Wars day. May the 4th and Return of the 5th.
That's not the same.
I don't know.
They're sending us out to the
all right, soldiers, get off. Get off. No.
Into the trenches with no
pause.
Protection.
Get going.
Where reason dies and chaos
get going. Off into the shorts chat you go.
Battlefield where nothing remains.
Revenge of the 5th. Thank you.
We march into the spam and the bots.
Off you go. Soldiers, go get to work. That's where the horrible people are. Whoa. I just got here. Whoa. Slow down.
We're going to the shorts chat where souls go to die. Moderating madness, saying our last goodbye. Send reinforcements, we won't make it back. Lost in the shorts chat. Under attack. The comments move faster than we can read. Deleting nonsense, fighting the feed. First and ratio, echo in the void. Every brain cell systematically destroyed. We tried to bring order to the storm, but the algorithm doesn't conform. 3-word sentence.
Also, it comes with warnings. You don't just ban somebody, you warn them. Those called shirt tags.
Souls go to die, moderating madness, saying our last goodbye. Send reinforcements, we won't make it back. Lost in the shorts chat,
Jesus wouldn't ban?
under attack.
What? That can't be a serious thing. Have you heard of hell?
When we don't return,
Ultimate
our
ban.
minds consumed, our spirits
Jesus wouldn't ban. Have you heard of hell?
gave our sanity for the cause.
Also, like, driving the people out of the temple.
Endless flaws. Tell our families we tried our best, but the shorts chat never.
Me dancing to AI slop music.
One more
Imagine stealing your own happiness.
question, one more reply.
Not enjoying something because of some weird principle.
We went to the shorts chat where souls go to die. Moderating madness, no one heard our
Let's
cry.
go.
No
Thank you.
reinforcements, we
Give it
didn't
time, you'll learn to
make
hate it.
back. Lost in the shorts chat.
Oh, we already got a ban.
Faded to black.
We just started. Right, let's run another appeal. Whew, we're on a roll. I've gotten like 17 bans in the last 2 weeks.
The shorts chat claims another one.
Someone said you could easily be a bouncer in a mafia movie.
I was a bouncer for 10 years.
We're so
Literally, that's what I did
The
for a
mafia
living. For
movie
10
of
years,
real
I
life.
was a bouncer.
goodbye.
Just taking drunks. That's what I did for 10 years. I
Banning
could tell
them
you
from the
stories.
bar.
I could tell you stories. I've been banning people since the get-go. I ban you from the bar. I ban you from the chat. But no, that's what I did for 10 years. I was a bouncer. Threw people out. Who's calling me at this hour? All right, get out of here. Spam chat. Spam chat. Profiting off faith. Oh, it's better than profiting off something like, I don't know, whole like $1 billion industry in pornography. That's pretty messed up. Let's see. What else is it better than using for profit? Taking advantage of people in sales. I think that's a worse way to profit. I think it's better to profit off faith than like other selfish means. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's a better method to do it. Abortion? What about abortion? So I guess Sechel Dawa retired from Dawa. Thank God. Look, all Dawa guys retire eventually. All Dawa guys retire eventually. There's always a set group. Eventually a group retires and a new set comes in. Group retires, new set it is just a fact. There's always going to be a cycle of Dawa guys. If you don't believe me, try to name a Dawa guy from 10 years ago that's still going today. And Nadir doesn't count. Nadir doesn't count. Smash the like button, share the live, ladies and gentlemen. Convince me to stop worshiping Jesus. We need 20,000 likes before we start pulling guests. Get it done. But yeah, no, they just keep on a cycle, man. They keep on a cycle. AI profile picture. Yep, it sure is. Yeah. These guys, the scream. Yeah. AI is a part of life now. Get over it. Hijab. Actually, you know what? That's fair. Hijab's been doing it for a minute. I'll give you that. Hijab's been doing it for a minute, but my goodness, he's not looking good right now. He is not looking good right now. And that's that. Listen, I'm going to make a video about this probably, but why I'm sick of Islamic apologetics. And the things that's been happening with hijab right now is the exact reason why I'm sick of Islamic apologetics. It's all rhetoric. All of it is rhetoric. Imagine if hijab actually had a conversation with God Logic, admitted that he didn't know certain things, and had just walked through it and said, I'll get back to you, or hey, I know somebody who knows better. Let me bring somebody who knows better. Can I bring this person up? They know a little bit more about me on this topic, but that's not the thing. It's rhetoric. Oh, can I throw the two of you in the debate octagon and see who gets who and who cooks who? Yeah, just yelling and muscle flexing. There's the whole thing. None of it was fruitful. None of it was fruitful. I mean, I guess it's fruitful to their channel, because if their channel grows, then they can get the gospel out to more people. So there's fruit in it that way. But yeah, I was thinking about it. Rhetorical mumbo jumbo. Yeah, it's all rhetorical, man. It's not videos that are getting clicks are not hey, here's a reason why you should trust the gospel and the reason that Jesus Christ existed. It's oh, hey, here's the reason this Muslim is a piece of shit, or here's the reason this Christian is a piece of shit. And those are the things that are getting the views and clicks these days, which is fine. You know, that's the culture. Whatever, man, do your thing. I'm not judging it. I'm just saying I'm personally kind of sick of it. And I am just as guilty of it too. I'm not innocent in that scenario. But John, the aliens we don't know exist, might not believe, so it's not true. And that's the thing. That's the video I'm going to post tomorrow, is the alien video. Is it fruitful? No. Is it going to get more views than the video I posted on Tuesday that actually is fruitful and has content and information and substance? Yes. Yeah. It's the culture. But that is a video I'm going to post tomorrow because it's entertaining as hell. And that's why I say this is not a ministry. I say this is entertainment. This is business. Hello, we're calling regarding an important business matter. No, you're not. You don't know my business. I don't know you. Get out of here. Oh my goodness gracious. All right, guys, smash the like button, share the live, do the things that you need to do. I think, hey, are we going to have a slow day today? Slow day. I mean, we already got the ban right. I might have to restart TikTok because we got a ban as soon as we came in. And so right now we might be limited. Soon as we came in, I got banned. You know what? I might do that just to be safe, just so I'm not wasting time. So everybody that's watching on TikTok, smash the like button, hit the follow if you want to see where this channel is going to go. And I'm going to restart this and we'll be back in like 2 minutes. So I'll just restart the TikTok. Like it's coming right back. Like it's not going to take any time at all. Can I have a taco? Don't ever stop worshiping Jesus. Yeah, sure. Just go to the store and buy a taco. Then you will have a taco. No one's stopping you. All right. We restarted the live. Let's see. See if that fixes the issue.
John and I have been watching Young Sherlock.
Yeah, it's great.
It's excellent.
Yeah, it's excellent. It's and as a film nerd guy, it's really well shot. Right? It's got really good pacing. It's got like everything is really well done. There's a few like nitpick things, but I'm a
Characters
nitpicker.
Are like
characters are great.
Engaging.
Are engaging. I've been thinking about doing raids again too. But here's the thing: if I do raids again, because I guess last time we did raids, everybody knew who I was. I'm well known enough to like not be able to go into like somebody else's live and somebody, oh, you're John, you're an asshole. There's the ban button. So I was thinking about starting a new account called.
No, don't say.
What?
Because then people are gonna know.
They're gonna know when I do it.
Well, our people will know.
Yeah, they're my people.
Okay, fine.
They're gonna know when I make the account. Okay, well, fine. I won't tell you the name of my account, but I'm gonna do it with a deep Irish accent. So just like it takes me a second to get into, but like if I can maintain it, I can maintain it. Well, I top and Ireland here. So I've just come up to tell you that I think, hey, there's sufficient enough evidence to believe that Jesus Christ did die and resurrect from the dead. And I'm hoping if I do this accent that I just got to keep it though. That's the problem. The problem is I lose it. If I have it, it stays on. But I do this one and I go up and I talk to people and hopefully they won't realize it's me and I can actually have a real life conversation with them. Or is it Newfie or is it Irish? It's somewhere in between. Now, if they ask me, I'll just say I'm from Newfoundland. And now that way I don't have to worry about, it's like, hey, what part of Ireland are you from? Because I've never been to Ireland. But if I say I'm from Newfoundland, it's a pretty close accent. They won't have to go against it. They'll be like, what's Newfoundland? I'd be like, oh, that's a place in Canada. You've never been to it. But if you come to my house, I'll come to yours. All right? So as simple as that. And that way we can have a conversation and no one will know it's me and I can do my whole spit and caboodle or whatever you want to say. I don't even know how they say it, but yeah. What do you guys think? Should we do it that way? Where's me belt? Conor McGregor. So I was thinking about doing that because last time we did raids, everybody knew who I was and I kept getting like kicked and people getting mad at me. So what's my favorite Pokemon? Pokemon is trash. Pokemon is trash. Digimon all the way. Now ask me what my favorite Digimon is. I don't remember. Who likes Pokemon, man? Who likes Pokemon? We won't need 20,000 likes because I restarted it. We'll do 15,000. So if we get to 15,000 likes, we'll start taking guesses. Who likes Pokemon? Pokemon's trash, man. It just is. Digimon over Pokemon. Digimon should have took off more than Pokemon did. No, I was not a Naruto fan. I was Dragon Ball Z. What did I watch as a kid? Dragon Ball Z, Digimon, Inuyasha was another one I watched. If we're talking like anime type style, I think that's it. I think that's really it. Yeah. Now I can't think of another one. Yep, Dragon Ball, Digimon, Inuyasha. That's it. I can't think of another one. Also, Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh was another one. No Sailor Moon. When I was really young, yeah, and then when I got older, I was like, this is weird. This is weird. There's them skirts on them 13-year-old girls were mighty short. It was pretty weird. Ghost in the Shell. No. Oh, what's a Gundam Wing? Gundam Wing was another one I watched. Gundam Wing was amazing. And that really dates me. Hold on. When did because it's not a thing going on anymore. When did Gundam Wing come out? Gundam Wing came out in 1995. I ran till 1996. It was only out for 1 year. That was a great show. Damn, I'm old, ladies and gentlemen. 1990. It only ran for a year. That should have been a thing, man. That should have kept going. Gundam Wing. Well, X-Men. We're doing anime, right? So X-Men. Yeah, definitely X-Men animated series was top tier. Everybody watched that. That's not even included in like what did you watch? Like if you grew up in the 90s, you watched X-Men. If you didn't grow up in the 90s. Robotech? I don't know Robotech. You know you're really old if you watched Inspector Gadget. Like not like reruns, like if you were there. Not Gangnam Style, no. Digital monsters, Digimon are the champions. Yeah. Sun's out, guns out, thank you. Would you consider inviting Mormons over and talking to them in person? I've done it. Yeah, I did it at my old apartment. They got really frustrated with me really fast, and then they left, and then they came back and just put a note in my mailbox that answered my question rather than talking to me. They just put a little note. Here's the answer to your question, and they left it in the mailbox. And then they never came back again.
John got blacklisted.
I got blacklisted from the Mormons.
Don't go there. He might convince you away.
Yeah. Because I just asked them straight up questions. And like, I don't know. They were really old, nice couple. Like, but I was super nice to them. But they're like, I'm like, listen, I'm a Christian. This is what I do. Right. I have issues. And this is what my issues are. Like, you know, Revelation straight up says that Jesus is the first and the last. And though I don't have an answer to that. And then they came back with a note. First and the last doesn't mean that he's God. It just means he's the first of creation and he's the last of creation. I'm like, that's not what it says in the text. And I never talked to him again. Yeah. If they were old, they might have been Jehovah's Witnesses. No, they were Mormon. They told me. Yeah, the community I lived in, like I wouldn't be shocked if they're sending out older people because it's probably really hard to get younger people. I don't know what Abby's doing. All right, guys, smash the like button, share the live. We're at 7,000. We need 15,000 before we start taking. Batman Beyond was peak. No, Batman the animated series was peak. Batman Beyond was good. Batman the animated series, because Batman Beyond's a sequel to that when he's old. The animated series, that was peak. The movie for that when I was a kid, on repeat. Are you kidding me? That was so good. Mm-hmm. You're a big SpongeBob. I didn't like SpongeBob. Never liked it. I watched some of it, but never really into it. Yeah, listen, when me and Abby have kids, we're going to we're Mask of the Phantasm. Yeah, that was it. We're gonna allow them to watch TV and stuff, but it will not be YouTube. It will not be brain rot. It will be old cartoons that have messages, meanings, stories, things where you have to think it through, right? Where you have to like come to conclusions. Like I 100% put them on these old shows because the old shows had like a goal when they gave it to you. It wasn't just like I see kids, they're watching like a truck drive into slop, and they're like, yeah, Ed, and Eddie. Oh, bro. Yeah, that was it. What was the show? What was the show where it was like a whole bunch of kids spies and they lived in a treehouse? What was it? There's like that one. That one was great. That one too. What was it? Jimmy Neutron was pretty good. Yeah, no, Jimmy Neutron. Come on, guys, help me. Kids Next Door. Yeah, codename Kids Next Door. That show. And you know what? I just went back and rewatched because it was so good. It's actually really good, even as an adult. The Weekenders. Whew. That's got some clever stuff too. I was laughing as an adult. I was like, that's good. But I'm also shocked that the episodes are only 12 minutes long. They really pumped in those commercials. 3/4 of the Amish put their culture in with their religion. Some, like me, hold the traditions for earthly serenity, but completely separate my religion from the culture thoughts. How you behave in your day-to-day life, as long as it's not against the gospel or anything that's in sin, is whatever. Do what you want. Make you happy, bro. Live life to the fullest. Live life to the fullest. Johnny Bravo. Johnny Bravo was a vibe, bro. Thank you very much. What do you say? What was some of like Johnny Bravo lines that he did? Is like, I'm pretty, you're pretty. Why don't we go home and be pretty together? Like, when I was in my early 20s, I probably dropped some Johnny Bravo lines on some people in the bar. If I'm going to be honest, that probably happened. We're at 11,000 likes, guys. If you want a live to happen today, we're going to need more than that. I'm pretty, you're pretty. Let's go home. We pretty together. Kim Possible was it? Yeah, Abby loved Kim Possible as well. Hold on, I gotta look it up now. My favorite part of Johnny Bravo though is like he's a douche, and like he constantly lost. He never won. Hello, 911 emergency. There's a handsome guy in my house. Oh, hey, wait a second. Cancel that. It's only me. Hey, baby. I can tell we both love the same thing. Me. What is this one? Oh, mama, I'm so sweet that I got a mouthful of cavities. Nah, that's not that good. If loving me is wrong, you don't want to be right. That's pretty good. Here's one. I did it wrong. I'm pretty. You're pretty. Want to go home and stare at each other? That was pretty good. I'm a thief and I'm here to steal your heart. Your body is wonderful and I want to be Alice. Oh, that's good. I must be a snowflake because I've fallen for you. I'm a dancer or a romancer. You're a Capricorn. I'm a Cancer. Well, baby, what's it like looking for the man of your dreams? That's pretty good. Want to feel my muscles? Only a dime a minute. That one's great. That one's great. Oh my God. That one's great. There's an amendment that allowed women to go vote. Johnny, now why would you go do something like that? That's pretty good, yeah. Gosh, you smell pretty. Want to smell me? Oh my goodness. It is deliverance too. Like, hold on. Can I play it without getting, let's see. I'll just put it in the background.
Keep on his get to. Huh? You rang, fishy mama?
Hey, you meathead, you're so stupid you joined a stupid contest and they said no professionals. Oh, I don't want to say you're a loser, but I hear you tie stakes around your neck to get dogs to play with you. What's the matter? You got your brain?
So does this mean you dig me?
Don't you know?
Oh, why did it freeze? What happened? Uh-oh. I think I have, one sec. I think I know what happened. I think I have, yeah. Got to relaunch. Boom. All right.
Keep on his get to. Huh?
What's the matter? You got your brain?
Does this mean you dig me?
Don't you know when you're being insulted?
How about you and me go find an...
Why is it so? What is going on with my internet right now? Well, probably because I got 1,000,001 things going on. All right. We'll shut that down. We'll shut down. We tried. Can we get Metal Dawa before we ball? Also, any word on the movie, assuming NDA is good? Definitely not a semi-old head. What? Oh, the movie I did. No, I have no clue. None whatsoever. So I have no clue when that's going to come out. But I can tell you it's not going to be Christian Family. That's the thing. What song did you want? Can we get Dawa? That's going to invite the Dawa guys in. It's like summons them. It summons them. We could play it like a little bit in the background, I guess. Which one's the Dawa one again? Hold on. This one. We got 15K. Well, they asked for the song. We won't do the whole thing. We'll just do a little bit.
You came with talking points, not truth. Same entire script from the Dower booth. Cut my answer down to 7 seconds flat. Posted the clip and said you won like that. But where's the part where your argument died? Where's the full exchange you try to hide? You could show it to like it proves your case, but you never read the top, so you just memorize and race. Every dodge archived, every pivot saved. I got the receipts for every game you played. You wanted clips, I wanted clarity. Now watch your whole position unravel publicly. Paper swords crumble when they swing. All that rhetoric don't mean a thing. You clip the moment, hit the full exchange. Ran from the context when it got too strange. Paper swords breaking in my hands. Your rehearsed lines can't meet my demands. You thought the edit made you walk on water, but the manuscript tradition tells a different story. Post a full debate, let them see the slaughter. At the end of it all, Jesus is Lord.
I don't know what Holy Co-worker music means. All right, let's bring it up a guest. Bringing up a. I don't know what happened to Abby, but must be something important. Ryan, hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you? Ryan. Ryan. Going once. Going twice. And sold. Everything okay?
Yeah, I just had to talk to the boss.
The boss?
Yeah.
Our boss?
Yeah.
Tell him to call on his own time. Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
I'm in my 50s.
All right, man. Can you convince me to stop worshiping Jesus?
I was hoping you could explain a passage from Deuteronomy.
Nope.
Okay. Look, I love your stuff. I appreciate it. Thank you anyways.
Thanks, man. God bless. Jesus.
Did you have a call?
No.
No. Okay.
Warner, hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
40.
You got a lot of background noise, man. It's hard to make you out and hear you.
Yeah, I'm 40.
Still background noise.
Hold on. How about now?
That's way better. Awesome, man. Okay.
Is that better?
Yeah, good,
Okay,
man.
good.
Can you convince me to stop worshiping Jesus?
Yeah. So would you say logically, without scriptures, we could look at the we could look at the planet or the universe and say there's a God exists? Logically speaking.
Do I think there are logical deductive arguments for God's existence? Sure.
Yeah. Right. Good. So logically speaking, would you say like the past prophets that came about whenever they performed a miracle or when and they claim to be a prophet? Logically speaking, we could say that they're prophets, right? And they came with a message from God.
If somebody comes with a message by God, by definition, they're a prophet. Bro, you got to do something about the background noise. The kid's losing their mind.
Okay. So logically speaking, can you explain to me why would the creator of the universe would come down here as a man and we're supposed to worship him?
How's that going to convince me to stop worshiping Jesus?
Because logically, it doesn't make sense for the creator of the universe to come down and be a man and get killed by man and be
Right,
weak like man.
right,
and
right.
So, on and
So
so forth.
if logically it doesn't make sense, then you should be able to provide a logical contradiction. Yeah.
It's contradiction because God is, the Almighty, and human beings are weak. God is all powerful. God is all knowing. Human beings are ignorant. So everything is ignorant. I mean,
Yeah.
everything is um, what do you call it? Contradiction.
Where's the contradiction?
Everything is contradiction. God is all powerful. Human
Yeah.
beings are weak.
Can you give me like the two?
God is.
Okay, that's right. God is all powerful. Human beings are weak. Jesus subsisted in both natures.
Yeah. So that thing doesn't really make sense to me because you're saying something like a tall, short person, which doesn't make sense.
No,
So when you say God is all powerful, and then you say God becomes a man, which is all weak, it's contradiction. It doesn't make sense.
no. God, the person of Jesus, subsists in both natures. A nature that is God, a nature that is human. The God nature didn't change into a human nature.
To me, it just sounds like wordplay. Word gymnastics.
Okay,
They don't make any sense.
That's,
You're
that's
saying words.
uninteresting
It
to
doesn't
me.
make sense.
It's uninteresting to me whether you think it makes
Yeah.
sense or whether it's word gymnastics, right? It's logically
Yeah.
consistent. It is what is revealed in Scripture, and you haven't given me a reason to stop worshiping Jesus.
Because the whole thing is contradiction.
You haven't provided a
God says He doesn't.
contradiction.
Okay, the contradiction is in the scriptures. It says God is not a man. You say God is a man. In scriptures, God is immortal. And you're
I can
saying
also
God is
show you a
mortal.
scripture where it says God is a man. And what are you going to do with that?
Okay, then that's your problem because that's a
How is that my
contradiction.
problem?
Because it's a contradiction.
How is it a contradiction?
Because God says He's not a man. You're going to say it's in the scriptures. It says God is a man. So that's a contradiction itself, right there.
Okay.
That's
How?
your problem.
Yeah. So what context were they giving when they said it?
So when God says He's not a man, it's telling you He's not a man.
Who is God talking to when he said that? Just curious. Do you know?
I don't remember.
No, you don't, because you
remember.
you didn't actually read the chapter. So here's what you're going to do, right? You're going to go read the entire chapter of Numbers 23.
Yeah.
Or Numbers 19.
And that's going to tell me. Right. So that's going to explain everything.
Yeah. It's crazy.
That God can be a man, right?
No, you're just going to go read the chapter and you're going to realize God's not talking about his ontology.
Yeah.
It's a crazy thing that happens when you read like more than just a single verse out of its context. You actually learn what God is trying to say.
All right. So when God says He's immortal, that's also something that needs explanation, right?
So you're just all over the place. Are you just going to ask 1,000,001 questions, or are you going to provide an argument?
No, but that is the argument. God is
questions are
immortal,
not
and you're saying
questions are
God
not
died.
arguments.
God is immortal, and you're saying God died, which is Jesus died. So this is a contradiction.
Okay, can you define immortality?
Immortality, you don't die.
Okay, so God in heaven, why can't he die?
God in heaven doesn't die because He's immortal.
Yeah, that's a
He says
tautology.
He's immortal.
That's a tautology. What makes him immortal?
The definition of God is somebody who cannot die.
Yeah, so why can't he die in heaven?
That's a logical question.
Yeah, it is a logical question. So I'd appreciate if you answered it logically.
I just told you, the definition of God is that it cannot die.
Right. Why? Why can't he die?
If he could die, then that person, whatever you call it, is not God.
Yeah, you're just using tautologies. Why can't God die? You're just saying God can't die because God can't die. Why can't he die?
Okay, I mean, I've given you what I understand, but enlighten me.
What do you mean enlighten you? You're just saying God can't die. Why can't he die? You just have this conclusion. Like, what does that mean? What does it entail? Why can't God die?
Because to be God is not to die.
That's another tautology. What is death?
Okay. Death is when a soul leaves the body.
Oh, okay. Does God in heaven have a body?
He may have some sort of body.
You think God has a body?
I don't know how God looks like. No.
You think God takes up space, has a body?
God is outside of space and universe.
Right. So then he doesn't have a
And
body.
time. I don't know how to answer that
What do you mean you don't know how to answer that?
because I don't know.
You don't
I
know
don't
if
know what
God
God
has
looks
a
like.
body. Do you think it's logically possible for the creator of all the universe, who's eternal in all locations, to be spatially confined into a body?
God is outside of the universe, so I don't know how.
Okay,
I
if you
can
don't
only
know,
tell you what.
okay, great. So then, if you don't know, then why is there an issue with God being Jesus? Because Jesus has a body.
Because of all the contradiction that I listed.
What contradictions? If he subsists in a human body and it's a human nature, right? And dying is just your soul leaving the body. Where's the contradictions? He doesn't cease to exist. He continues existing as God. Like, what are you getting at, man?
Because everything God is, humans is not.
I don't know how you're
God
not
is all knowing.
comprehending this.
God is all knowing. Humans is ignorant. You don't see this contradiction?
The person of Jesus subsists in two natures, and a nature that is God and a nature that is human.
Uh-huh.
There are two natures.
Okay. So when he says that he doesn't know the hour, is he God? Was he God then? Was he not God?
He's always God
He's always God.
because he
So if
subsists
he says he
in
doesn't
the
know,
nature that is God eternally.
right? So if he says he's ignorant of the hour, so what is that? I mean, is he being God saying that he's ignorant?
So if I show you a verse where it says Jesus knows all things, what are you going to do with that?
Again, that's your problem because
Why is
it's
it my problem?
contradicting.
It seems like it's your problem because you want to take things out of its context. Did you read the entire chapter?
God.
Let me just ask you. Did you read the entire chapter where it said that Jesus didn't know the hour? Did you read the book of John?
I haven't. I'll be honest. I haven't read everything, but I've
No,
read
you
some
haven't.
of it.
You haven't. You take verses and you run with it because some other Dawa guy told you about it, right? Right?
No,
You didn't
I've
read
read
it?
a lot of it. I haven't read
No, you
everything.
haven't.
I
You
have
haven't.
read a lot.
You've read verses here and there and you say, "Oh, that's a lot." Right?
Yeah.
You don't know what you've read.
Okay.
Okay? So, you don't know the context because the Gospel of John, right, says that Jesus goes, "I don't know the hour." And then the Gospel of John says Jesus knows all things. So, is it possible when Jesus says, "I don't know the hour," that he's using idiomatic language?
No, he's clearly saying that he doesn't know
it's
the hour
not
because he's
possible.
saying,
Okay. What is the logical contradiction that makes that impossible?
because God is all knowing and he's saying he's not. He's
Okay,
clearly saying
listen here. I know thinking is hard, but you can do it. What is the logical contradiction in Jesus using idiomatic language?
he can use it, but in this instance, he's clearly saying only the Father knows, no one else. Not even the angels, not even the Son, and so on
Yeah.
and so forth. So it's
Yeah.
being very clear and very specific.
But I also have Jesus
Okay.
saying he does know. He does know the hour.
Okay.
So I have a
Yeah,
verse where he
we'll talk
says he
about that.
does know the hour, and I have a verse where he says he doesn't know the hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
We
Now
can
you
talk
say
about
now
that
you're
later,
saying
but
you're
in
just
this
saying
specifically,
you're just saying it's a straight contradiction. Okay.
absolutely, 100%.
Now is it not just possible that Jesus is using idiomatic language?
This is a very clear, explicit language that he's saying that he doesn't know the hour.
Can you answer the question?
You can play this word game all day.
I'm not
fool
playing
people.
a word game. Is it possible he's using
You are.
idiomatic language?
You're fooling people with this sort
I'm
of
fooling this.
talking.
Did Jesus use parables?
He did use parables.
Oh, great. Are parables hyper literal?
I don't know what hyperliteral is.
Means that they're taken exactly word for word as they're meant to be. So when he gives the parable of the wedding feast, there's actually going to be a king that actually exists and throws people out of his house.
No,
That wasn't reference to God. There's going to be a real life king, right?
no. That it was talking about. That somebody's going to come and.
So he was using idiomatic language.
Okay.
Crazy.
Yeah, but in this instance, I don't think he was.
Can you give an argument for it?
Here, this is very explicit. He's saying he doesn't know.
Give an
Simple as that.
argument. Your argument is I don't think it is because I don't think it is. What's your argument?
Well, he's saying he doesn't know the hour, therefore, he can't be God.
That doesn't logically follow.
Okay.
What's your argument?
All right, buddy. No, you win.
Uh-huh.
I lose because I can't get through to you.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thanks for your time, buddy.
God bless. Garrett, hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you? Garrett? Garrett?
You there?
Yeah, I'm here. How old are you?
Hey, I'm 44.
All right, man.
How old are you, sir?
What?
How old are you, sir?
35. Can you convince me to stop worshiping Jesus?
Well, first off, what type of taco are we talking about? Is this like Taco Bell or
You order the taco, I pay
something
for
a
it.
little more gourmet? All right. So convincing someone isn't a matter of me just trying to win some argument. I guess what I would start with is terms. So first, let me just ask you a set of questions so we can nail down what words mean, and then we can take it from there. Does that sound good?
Yeah, okay.
All right. So I'm
Appeal not
assuming
approved. We reviewed your
What's that?
appeal and confirmed that gifting and visibility for this live cannot be restored in recommendations and in search results. Great. Well, my live
was
just
that?
got limited. All right, sorry, it's all good. Go ahead.
All right. So terms are important. We don't need to get mired down. So I'm assuming your Christian point of view is based in the what you consider a fact that God gave us his son, and he sacrificed his son for the sins of humanity. Is that true?
Well,
That without that gift, there is no savior.
without a savior, there's no savior.
Right, but the savior was here to bring us the gift of salvation, right?
I don't understand the
That was
question.
What was the purpose of Jesus coming?
He had lots of purposes. He had many different
What
things
was
that he did.
What was the main purpose? What is the crux of Christianity?
To be the final Adam.
To be the final Adam. Okay. So I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, that salvation comes through accepting the idea that God
No,
sent
you're
his
not, you're not
son.
saved by a mental state. No,
What are you saved by? Words?
not words. No, you're saved by aligning yourself with the greatest possible good, which is Jesus Christ.
Well, someone that doesn't believe that can align with the greatest possible good.
Yes, they can. That's
Yeah,
a
so
logical
then
possibility.
Then what's the purpose?
What's the purpose? What is your question, man? What is your argument? Like, if you're
My
just going to ask a
argument
million and
is
one
my-
questions to try to derive some sort of contradiction or issue, I'm not interested.
Well,
Provide an
I
argument.
think we need to understand what the words like.
You're not asking.
sacrifice.
You're not asking semantical words. You're asking like concepts or ideas towards Christianity. What's the argument
Okay,
against
to you,
it?
the argument is, what does the word sacrifice mean to you?
Sacrifice is to give up something for something else. That's the definition.
Okay. Where is Jesus right now in this moment?
Right now, in this moment, he is everywhere. He is God. He's omnipresent.
Is he in hell?
By definition, yeah.
Okay. So Jesus isn't in heaven with God. He's everywhere. He's in
What
my
if he is-
fingernail.
Oh my
He's
God!
in
If he's everywhere, then he would be in heaven.
and hell.
Yes, he's everywhere. That's what omnipresent means.
Why would Jesus be in hell?
Because he is God. For something to exist, he must be there.
So he's everywhere all at once.
Yes. Okay. If you ask another question outside of an argument, I'm going to move on. What's your argument?
My argument is there was no sacrifice. If I sacrifice my house, sell it so that my son can go to college, but then magically 3 days later, my son graduates and then I get my house back,
Mhm.
and I knew I was going to get my house back. I didn't
Mhm.
actually sacrifice anything.
Okay. How's that an argument?
The argument is there is no sacrifice if Jesus is in heaven right now.
How?
The sacrifice, if the book were to be written in a manner in which people would believe it,
No,
it would be
you're
Jesus
just drawing
died.
conclusions. You're drawing conclusions. What's the argument that gets to that conclusion?
The book should have read Jesus died and he's in hell right now. That would be a sacrifice.
Well, he did go to
I'm
hell.
assuming for 3 days. Yeah, he had a bad weekend, right? Terrible weekend he had. But
So
now
again-
he's in
so
heaven.
again, can you
Now he's in heaven.
Yeah. So do you know what an argument is? Because right, you're just drawing conclusions.
Yeah, I started the argument by trying to ask what your terms mean. When I ask you what the word sacrifice means to you,
To give up
what
something
does
for
that
something
word
else.
mean? Okay, so what was given up if Jesus is at the foot of God now?
That's another
He
question.
didn't, nothing was sacrificed. What's the sacrifice? If Jesus is
do you
everywhere,
have an argument? Yes
my
or no?
argument is there was no sacrifice.
That's a
When
conclusion.
you sacrifice,
That's a conclusion,
yeah.
my friend.
Yeah, that is the conclusion.
Mhm.
I want.
Can you give me?
How
Can you
do I
draw?
acquire my taco?
Can you draw the information to get to the conclusion? How do I can get to the same conclusion that Jesus was not a sacrifice?
Because if you believe the word sacrifice means to give up and not receive it back.
No, I didn't say
That's
that was the
not what he
definition.
said at all.
Well, but the entire Christian and most religion belief is that something was sacrificed,
Yeah.
but that thing is now back with the thing that quote unquote sacrificed.
we
it.
didn't agree on the semantic that a sacrifice is to give up something permanently.
So you're saying Jesus didn't sacrifice anything?
Again, I don't agree with that semantic. You said
Or
at
do you
the
agree?
start of this.
Do
Hold
you
on,
agree
listen,
Jesus
listen, Linda. Listen. At the start of this conversation, you said, "Hey, we have
Linda,
to find." Yeah, you're
I
not
like
listening.
beef
Listen.
tacos.
Listen,
I am
Linda,
listening.
Linda.
I'm listening.
Listen, Linda. Listen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good.
Please
That's
listen.
a cool
All right.
soundboard.
Great. So you said at the start of the conversation we have to agree on semantics. We didn't agree on that semantic, and you keep running with it. And I keep telling you, hold on, don't talk.
Okay.
Don't talk. You keep running with it, and I keep telling you that's not my semantic of sacrifice. And you say, well, then he didn't do a sacrifice. What are you talking about?
What is your semantic version of the word sacrifice?
The definition of sacrifice is to give up something for something else.
For the third time.
Yes. And so what was given up?
The people gave up Jesus Christ on the cross as the final sacrifice. Let me ask you a question. Let's see if you can
So
do some.
Jesus
Hold
didn't
on.
sacrifice anything?
You yap and yap and yap and yap and yap, and you don't listen.
I just
Yes.
trumped your argument. You cannot.
I
you
haven't
cannot
made
get
an
around
argument.
this.
How have you trumped my
I would
argument if
like
I
my
haven't made it?
taco.
How have you trumped my
Beef
argument?
taco.
How have you trumped my argument if I haven't made it yet?
I asked you what the word sacrifice means to you, to give up something, right? Is that something that was given up back in the hands of the person that did the sacrificing?
No.
No? So Jesus is not with God right now, but he's everywhere? This is
What?
weird. Jesus is with God right now,
I haven't
right?
presented my argument, and yet you're convinced that you've beaten it.
No, Jesus is with God right now, right?
Jesus is omnipresent because Jesus is God.
So is Jesus with God in this moment?
That's entailed in the last statement I just gave you.
I would like a beef taco. How do I acquire my taco?
You haven't convinced me to stop worshiping Jesus.
Well, that's just a problem of your logical pieces getting put together.
You haven't
If
heard my argument. How do you
Okay,
know?
tell me your argument. Tell me your
Great.
argument.
Great.
Is Jesus with
Yeah.
God right now? Is he?
That's answering your question is not my argument.
But okay.
Are you
Tell me
stupid?
how do you dismantle what I just said? If Jesus is with God right now, you agree with that, right?
Yeah. Okay. So
Then what was sacrificed?
let's see if you have critical thinking skills. Let's find out.
I'm here with you, brother.
Yeah, okay, great. In the Old Testament, how did people pay for sins?
Through atonement, through blood sacrifice.
So they would bring an animal to the altar.
Yeah, but they didn't get their animal back, did they?
hold on. They bring an animal to the altar, and then they would sacrifice it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then imagine 3 days later, that pig is back with them.
The pig didn't
And
come
they
back to
knew
them.
it would be back with them.
Jesus didn't come back to them 3 days later and stay with them permanently.
Jesus is with God. Jesus is
And
with
he's
God
not
right
on earth
now.
with the people.
But God the Father sacrificed his son, but has his son back in this moment.
God the Father gave Jesus as a sacrifice for the people. The people sacrificed Jesus.
Yeah, but God knew this was going to happen, knew
So?
his son was going to go through this 3-day ordeal.
So?
And now he's like patting Jesus on the back. I'm glad I sacrificed
What does that
you.
have
Oh, wait,
to do?
you're back here with
this
me.
is an eternal
Magic
critique,
is magic.
right? This is an eternal critique, right? Christians paid through for sin through sacrifice. They used Jesus as the final sacrifice. He was the final blood sacrifice that paid for all the sin. And they gave him up.
But a
He went back up to
sacrifice
heaven.
is not a sacrifice if magic is implied and the thing that was sacrificed is back in its state. If I sacrifice my
where's
house
Jesus
so that my
then?
son or daughter
hold
can
on.
go,
Where is he?
how about you sacrifice the taco to me?
Listen, you
I'll
idiot.
get the
Where's
taco,
Jesus?
but then you have
Where's
the
Jesus?
taco back in your hand.
No,
You have an endless supply of tacos.
you said for it to be considered a sacrifice, you can't get it back. Where's Jesus?
Correct.
Where is he?
He's with God, according to your book.
No, hold on. We sacrificed him. So where is he? Did we get him back?
I don't believe this. You tell me where Jesus is. This is your story.
So did we get him back?
God did. God sacrificed
Did we
him.
get him back?
God knew that this was
Why don't
right?
you want to answer the question? Did we get him back?
I don't even know if he was
Stop
a person.
running. Stop running. Now you know you got cooked.
Running.
Did we get him back?
Did we get what back?
Oh my
a
God.
magical
All right.
story?
Imagine the dishonesty. He got kicked anyway.
Yeah, literal idiot. Mm-hmm. Ken, hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
Hello.
Abby, would you be so kind to get me a cup of coffee, please?
I would.
And could you put a scoop of creatine in there?
Okay. How do I mix it? Just a spoon?
Just put the creatine in first, pour the coffee on, and give it a quick stir. It'll most likely dissolve because of the coffee.
Just set your cup there. I'll finish.
Okay. Chase, hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
I'm 30.
I cannot hear you, man. You're muffled.
Oh, can you hear me better now?
Nope, exactly the same.
How about this?
Still the same. You're just talking louder.
Just one moment. Sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Nope. All right, let's jump on to the next person. Mm-hmm. Sounds like you're talking. Yeah. Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
I'm 41. Can you hear me good?
Yes, I can hear you, man. All right, can you convince me to stop worshiping Jesus?
So, first, if you don't mind, I'd like to make a statement. I'm Norse pagan, and I do not believe in Jesus or your God. But I just don't understand why you would want somebody to convince you.
Mm-hmm. I don't need a spoon. Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
I'm 25.
All right, man. Can you convince me to stop worshiping Jesus?
All right, so I have a position just to, I guess, add grounding to my argument. I would say that the classical belief in God or the Abrahamic God is the least likely compared to other interpretations of naturalism because of the evidential problem of evil.
Okay, make the argument.
So you believe that prayer works, right, in heaven?
I believe prayer works. I don't think prayer is a mechanism to get a task done. So when saying prayer works is kind of like a silly thing to say. That's like saying, "Hey, talking to somebody and is works." Like, what does that mean?
Like, say if you prayed for something, like if somebody prayed, for a new car, that God would help them get that.
That's implying that God's a genie, right? If I ask my dad to give me $20, am I going to get $20?
Well, that's what Scripture says, asking you shall receive. To a degree, not obviously that he'll.
Yeah, as
grant
long
it
as it's
immediately.
within accordance of his will and it's not in a thing that is in sin.
So yeah, I'm saying that he can answer prayers, correct?
Well, he can answering prayers does not mean that he always will answer a prayer.
Yeah, so specifically, I want to talk about the problem of natural evil and why it doesn't stop all this natural suffering that we perceive in this world.
Okay, so what's the argument?
Uh, there are about 1 million, maybe even a lot more cases of stillbirths or infants dying before birth. So I just want to see what your argument is why God wouldn't stop that.
So your argument is a question?
Yeah, I just want to
But I could just take skeptical theism.
Can you explain that real quick? Sorry.
Skeptical theism is I can just say, I don't know. It's a mystery.
Would you say that's more of a logical position to hold than just naturalism?
That's a perfectly logical position, because if I have a justifiable reason to say, hold on, let me finish. Yeah. If I have a justifiable reason to say that God is real, you presenting a problem or a mystery of that God doesn't debunk it.
I didn't say that God doesn't exist. I just think there's more logical positions to hold, such as a deistic God or
so the reason I believe in the Christian God is because of the evidence of the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. So if I have a justification to say that is true, you saying, well, yeah, there's bad things that happen doesn't convince me that that's not true.
I mean, I understand that, but from an unbiased point of view, you would have to first convince somebody that the historicity behind the Bible is true, which would be a hard argument to make. And then you have to prove the
That's not what I said. I don't have to convince you anything. All I stated
No.
was let me finish. You didn't hear what I said. I don't have to convince you of anything, because I said as long as I have a justifiable reason to say that's true, if I can justify it, I can hold my position. Whether you're convinced is irrelevant to me.
Yeah, but you didn't listen to what I said. I didn't say there isn't any logic behind the position you hold. I know there's logic. I'm saying it's least logical compared to other positions to hold.
Based off what?
You just said that the skeptical theism.
What?
You pretty much saying you don't know.
I can say that I didn't say I didn't know. I said I can hold the skeptical theism position, right? There are answers to that question, to the problem of evil, to the evidential problem of evil. But I can hold a skeptical theism. I can hold to a skeptical theism position, and it doesn't change anything. Just like you guys in naturalistic perspectives have skepticism as well, right? You don't have an answer for the first life. You don't have an answer to abiogenesis. That's a mystery to you.
Yeah, but I would say that mystery isn't as much of an issue for naturalism as, the idea of a triomni God.
You got to give me a reason why I have to hold those positions. You can't just say it's not.
I'm not giving you a reason why you have to. I'm saying it's least logical. That's the argument I'm making.
Make the argument why it's least logical.
Yeah, let me get to that point.
Okay.
I lost my train of thought, but what was I saying? I would say the argument of a triomni God, is more of a crux in regards to your belief system.
You're shifting away from the problem of evil. You've conceded that point.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not conceding that point, because I believe that
what does the triomni God have to do with it then?
The evidential problem of God. You know what the evidential problem is? Your idea of the classical belief of a God is unlikely.
I'm aware of the evidential problem of evil, but you're not deriving an argument. Yeah. You're just saying there's lots of evil, therefore no God. That's not an argument.
No. I'm not saying there is no God. I'm saying that your belief in a God, the Abrahamic God specifically,
whatever conclusion you're drawing, you haven't given an argument for me to jump to that conclusion.
How have I not? Because you haven't given me an answer as to what problem.
I don't need to give you an answer. That's the thing. Why do I require to give you an answer to that question?
Why would you not? So you just saying you can have this problem, not give an answer, but
so far all you said is there's evil things, and I say okay, and you say therefore your God's less likely, and I say why?
All right, let me.
And you don't give me an answer for that. What is the reason? Why can't I just take a skeptical theistic approach and say I'm unsure on why God allows unnecessary evils, but that doesn't disprove His existence?
Why do you keep? Okay, you keep saying disprove. My argument,
let me make it less likely, whatever your conclusion might be. Can you make the argument, please? I'm tired of hearing your conclusion over and over again. I want to hear a reason to believe your conclusion.
What argument do you have that skeptical theism is more logically appealing to something like naturalism or the belief of the deistic God? That's my point.
Skeptical theism isn't an argumentative position. You don't argue for that.
What makes it a more logical position to hold?
It's not,
Just
that's not how that works, man. It's like saying I'm agnostic towards a certain position. I do not know, but that doesn't debunk every other position that I hold.
so, what other positions do you hold that you don't
The
think it
death
would
and
debunk?
resurrection of Jesus Christ. I say there's a justifiable reason to believe that Jesus Christ died on the cross and resurrected. If that happened, that would be the token of a divine revelation, right? Which would be the type. If there's that token of divine revelation, I have a justification to believe that Jesus is who he says he is and the God of the Bible is true. Now, I could say that thing is true and I can have a high confidence in it and a high confidence to worship Jesus, which is the topic. And then you could say, well, if all that is true, why does Jesus allow for such evil things? And I could say, I don't know. But that doesn't change the fact that he died and resurrected on the cross. You know what I mean?
Okay, but if you don't know the answer to that, could you not say that God can't be all good as you guys claim he is?
How would I make that claim?
It's a common claim. So you don't claim that God is all good.
Dog, make your argument. Questions are not arguments, right? God is all good. You're saying
You
he's
just
not.
said, how can I make that claim? Then you just made that
Yes,
claim.
how could I make the claim that he is not all good? How? Make the argument.
Because you just said you don't know why God will allow for these things. So how could you
How
make
does
the claim
that,
that he is
again,
all
if
good?
I take a skeptical theistic approach, that's not me concluding something, is it? It's me saying I don't know.
And that's my point. How would you know God is all good? Which is why I said
But
that
you
to
said I
believe-
have to conclude that he's not all good.
No, I said, how would you know? You can't
That's
make the
not
claim
what
that
you
he
said.
is.
Now you're shifting.
Is that not what I said? Well, let me
No.
rephrase. That is what I'm saying now.
Yeah, so the reason I could say that God is all good is because if he is an all-powerful being, by necessity, the only thing he would ever do would be a selfless act because he requires nothing.
Based on what?
The fact that he's all-powerful. An all-powerful, here it is in an argument. An all-powerful being needs of nothing. Therefore, anything an all-powerful being does is for the sake of the other thing because he needs nothing.
Sorry, can you just expound on that? Because it seems a bit like it sounds logical, but it doesn't sound like a position that somebody would have to attain to.
If he's all-powerful, then there's nothing he needs, right?
Hmm?
Right? He's fully entertained. He's fully satisfied. Everything has been fulfilled in this being that is God. There is nothing it can gain. So if it did something, it wouldn't do it for itself because that would imply it lacked. It's no longer all powerful. So therefore, anything it would do would be for the sake of the thing it created, for the goodness of that thing. It's a purely selfless act. So by definition, he would have to be all good.
So what is all good about allowing infants to die before birth?
Skeptical theism on that.
So would you say that's a neutral position to hold, that you don't know whether it's good or bad that God allows for infants to die before birth?
No, I think that there is an all good reason why God allows certain things to happen, but I may not know why. What you're asking for is what is it called? Theophany, not a theophany. Starts with a TH, is like theodicy, theophany, one of those words where it's like a reason that is satisfying enough to you on why God would allow that. Right now, I could do that. We can run through the list. I can recommend a book. If you really want a book on the problem of evil, I can give you one. It's a really good book, right? Now, the thing is, it's going to be whether or not you're satisfied by the answer or you're not, because you're giving an emotional argument, not a logical argument, not a deductive argument, not an inductive argument. It's an emotional argument. So therefore,
the
you're either
argument you're
satisfied
making
by
is
the
that-
answers or you're not satisfied by the answers. So I prefer to take skeptical theism, because I'd rather not run through 101 theodicies or whatever it's called and see which one satisfies you.
But you're essentially arguing that the death of infants before birth could be good.
No, that's not what I'm arguing. I didn't say that. I didn't say it was good.
If you're saying you don't know if God is doing this for a good reason or not, then you could make that assumption.
God allowing unnecessary evils to happen could be for a greater reason and purpose. That doesn't mean that the unnecessary evil in itself is good.
But in a case, so what positive outcome could come from a stillborn or infant dying before birth?
That is a necessary evil. I just said it's unnecessary.
Why would God allow unnecessary evil?
You keep asking the why. What is your argument? I've told you I'm taking skeptical theism approach on this.
Why should somebody believe?
Questions are not arguments.
How so?
Because questions are
'Cause
questions,
I'm-
arguments are arguments. It's two different categories.
Because if I'm questioning your belief system and I found it a little, morally wrong,
Yes, I
how is that
don't
not an
care
argument in
about your
itself?
individual mental state. I've told you that at the start of the conversation.
Okay, sure, but why should somebody believe this system compared to something that natural and that just explains that these
All right,
things are
you've just
indifferent?
gone full circle, so I'm going to move on. You asked the first question I've already answered. The death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. That is why. Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
I'm 27.
All right, man. Can you convince me to stop worshiping Jesus?
So I think my main argument is that I don't think that there's enough evidence, historically speaking, for the resurrection.
Based. All right, that's a good position. Can you make the argument?
There's no. I'm not claiming that there's no eyewitnesses that were ever claiming to be there, but we don't have any written accounts by any eyewitnesses at the time. They're all secondhand, thirdhand, and far removed from the resurrection decades later on.
Okay, so are you saying that we need contemporary evidence to believe an historical event happened?
I would say if it's something that's like supernatural, that no other thing in history has happened, then I would argue that for me to believe, I would say yes.
I'm not interested in your individual mental state.
Okay.
Yeah, so you said for me to believe. Okay. Some people wouldn't believe if they had Jesus right in front of them.
Sure. I mean, I don't think it's rational, though, to, have Jesus become more divine as time goes on.
Well, hold on. Now you're jumping to a different topic, right? We're talking about contemporary. Do you need a contemporary witness to conclude an event in history happened? If you're going to say yes for this event, but not this event, then I need an argument on why we are going to special plead.
Well, because like I said, there's special plead because there's a few things about that. Number one, when it comes to like normal events happening in history, I would say that those are more based in reality. Here we have an event that you said has never happened.
I got to pause you there. It's more based in reality is begging the question. You're assuming that my worldview is out of reality.
Yeah, yes, because you're making the claim that something supernatural has happened outside the realm of
but the problem is what the topic we're debating is the so-called supernatural event. So you can't presuppose supernaturalism doesn't have to convince me of your position. You have to get me there first.
Okay, so can you give me any other event in history or in current times where a supernatural event, like some sort of divine, revelation, has taken place, where we do have the evidence in history of it?
Yeah. So that would be like Padma, I think is what it's called.
Padma, what is that?
That was like the revelation of Mary. She revealed herself to an entire town and made the sun dance throughout the sky. We have like hundreds of eyewitnesses to the event. There are even news reporters that were there.
All right, I will look that up after this one. Could you spell it for me?
Fatima.
Fatima. All right, I'll look that up after this so I can look more into it. But going back to what I was talking about, so I think that it's very possible that oral stories could have expanded, through the resurrection of Jesus.
Well, sorry, you're jumping to a different topic before we've convinced on the contemporary topic. Why we need require, and I actually do think we have contemporaries, right? I think Matthew and John are contemporary witnesses. But even assuming your position, right? Why should I hold that having contemporary people is required to believe something historically?
Well, I think because if you don't have that, then you essentially could say that anything happened in history, but you wouldn't necessarily believe other supernatural events in history when it comes to other religions or anything like that.
Well, that's just a two-coque fallacy, right? We're talking specifically about this event and whether or not there's sufficient amount of evidence. So if you're going to say we need contemporary people for this specific event, then almost everything that Josephus wrote and Tacitus wrote, we have to throw out the window because they're not contemporaries.
Well, Josephus and Tacitus more wrote about the possible the possible crucifixion, which I'm
not even talking about
with.
Jesus. I'm talking about every historical. Like Josephus is an historian. He recorded historian events. He's the biggest source that we have for Second Temple Judaism and after. Right? If we're just going to say you need contemporaries, we're going to have to throw out him. We're going to have to throw out Pliny the Younger. We're going to have to throw out Saragatus the Younger. I'm saying that name properly. There's a whole bunch of people we're going to have to throw out because they're not contemporaries.
But I think the issue is that if we have multiple sources of historians documenting the same thing, then I would say that is something, probably more based in reality. But the thing about the resurrection
we have Ignatius and Clement that are within the first century recording the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. So we have multiple sources.
Right. So that like a century later, you said?
No, they're within the first century. That'd be within the same century of Jesus.
Okay. You said Clement?
We have Clement.
Talked about the resurrection of Jesus.
Yeah, and Ignatius. And those people were alive at the same time the Gospel of John was released.
Clement, Ignatius. Okay. Well, I just don't agree that if people were coming out immediately about the resurrection and writing stuff down about it, I would say that that's a great argument that I would look into.
Yeah, that's Clement and Ignatius. That's immediately.
No. That's, again, decades later. I would say
not.
that if
it's
you
in the same century.
Yes.
Right. So the gospel.
Later.
So the gospel. Well, decades later is not a big deal in historical perspective. And sorry, and you're right. I was thinking century when you said decades. But yes, it is decades later. So we have the Gospel of John written about 70, 80, and we have Clement coming in about 80, and then we have Ignatius coming about 90 to 100.
Right. And that's kind of my argument, is that Jesus becomes more divine as he's removed from the time period. I would say that that's a big deal. I would say that if we only started writing about World War II
that's not focusing on the contemporary thing. If you want to jump into the argument about Jesus is a growing myth, that's fine, but you have to concede the contemporary thing. You can't just pretend you won that argument and move on to the next one.
I don't, because like I said, what we're saying is World War II happened, and instead of writing about it during or after it happened, we're writing about it now, saying, hey, World War II happened, and so we're getting all the historical facts from people writing about World War II now. And let's say we have no historical data about World War II before now. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't understand how that's an argument.
Well, because you'd have to agree that things like memories might be degraded. I don't know if I said that word right.
But
degraded.
Again, if we're looking at the historical perspective, we're going to hold to this position that you have. Almost everything in Second Temple, all the way up to like after the printing press, is going to not be contemporary.
And if they weren't, it's possible to not believe 100% of the things that they said.
Okay, so you're going to deny the vast majority of history.
No, the vast majority of history does say that Jesus was alive and he was crucified, but the vast majority of history
those
does
aren't
not say he was
contemporary
resurrected.
sources.
Yeah, but again, I said, well, first contemporary, but secondly, many different sources.
Right. Okay.
Many different sources.
You keep jumping from topic to topic. Contemporary. Do we need contemporary to conclude that an historical event happened? Because if you're going to say, yes, Jesus Christ was crucified, according to your standard, and again, I think we have contemporary. I'm just showing you from your perspective. It's an internal critique, right? You don't hold the position that you say that you're holding to because you believe that Jesus Christ was crucified. Just like John Dominic Crossan says, if we know anything for certain in history, for if we did not have any writings of Jesus Christ, we would have two sources of Tacitus and of Josephus that we can conclude for certain that Jesus Christ was crucified. And those are not contemporary sources.
Okay. So like I said, contemporary sources are not necessarily needed for regular events. But if you're talking about an event that breaks the laws of physics and science and all known otherworldly,
so then you're applying the principle of analogy, right? Which is a historical method that says if I don't see it happen in today, I reject it from yesterday. Can you give me an argument on why I have to hold that position?
Because if you're making a claim of the supernatural, I would say that you need better evidence for it. If you're making a claim of the historical...
That's the conclusion that you're trying to draw. I want an argument to why I can come to that conclusion.
Because we've never witnessed anything like a resurrection before.
That is what the principle of analogy is. I'm asking you why I should hold to it.
I'm trying to explain to you. So if we've never witnessed something like the resurrection before, I would imagine that you would probably need immediate evidence of it, and not like decades later, and not by the eyewitnesses. This is all secondhand information from someone who.
So do you know what a tautology is?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, so I'm asking you why we should hold to the principle of analogy, and then you're just giving me the definition of the principle of analogy. So it's a tautology. I think it's unscientific. So let me just ask you a question. Let's say if I gave you, let's say, 1,000 contemporary sources, they all personally witnessed the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. Would you assume that he died and resurrected?
I'm sorry, say it one more time.
If I gave you 1,000 contemporary sources of the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, would you conclude that he resurrected?
I think that would be a much better
Not
argument
the question
to look
I
into.
asked you. Would you conclude it?
Well, no, it needs nuance though, because the
Please answer
1,000
the
were to
question.
have to say something. It needs nuance because the 1,000 were to have to say something. Like, for example, when Paul says there was 500 that witnessed Jesus, I don't believe that because there was no.
Okay, so the analogy, you're
writings.
changing my analogy. There's 1,000 individual contemporary people that all personally witnessed the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, and we can bring it all the way back to the source and say, yep, they were there. Yes, they saw it. These are the people this is what they're saying when they were there. Do you
All right, let me ask
believe
you
it?
one follow-up
No.
question.
Do
One
you believe it?
follow-up question. It needs nuance. Stop saying it's a yes or no. It's not.
I'm not asking for a yes or no. I'm just asking if you believe it. I've given you the analogy.
I don't know how to answer it without the nuance.
Okay, if your nuance isn't very specific, I'm going to boot you.
Okay. So, for example, Paul said there was 500 people that had witnessed the resurrection of Jesus, but they never wrote anything down. So are you saying, let me ask this one question. Are you saying that 1,000 people is someone that someone else had said that 1,000 people saw it? Or
That's
you
not a
say each of these
contemporary.
It still can be contemporary if it's
No,
around
a
the same
contemporary
time.
is directly from the person. That's the thing that we're arguing. So you have
contemporary is
1,000 contemporary documents. The person, I gave you the analogy. I said directly from the person who personally witnessed and saw it. That was in the analogy. Now answer the
Contemporary
question.
means living at the same
Answer
time.
the
It doesn't
question.
mean
Answer the
did
question.
they all
I
write
gave
something
you the
down?
analogy. They were all there and witnessed and saw it, and they wrote it down. Now answer the question.
Sure, yeah, then yes.
You would believe it. So you had 1,000. Okay, what about 500?
Yeah, sure.
1.
Probably not.
No. Okay, what's the exact number that you'd have to believe that Jesus Christ died and resurrected?
I think more than like 4 people saying that another person saw it.
That's the number that you wouldn't. What is the number that you would?
There's, of course, this is semantics. There's not an exact number, but there has to be a reasonable
Semantics, that's not semantics. Semantics is defining words.
number. Okay, so if I told you something magical happened myself, you wouldn't believe just me.
That's just an
And you wouldn't
example.
believe me
That's
and my
a
best
too
friend.
okay fallacy. What is the number?
I'm giving you an example. I can't give you the number. It's got to be a reasonable number.
Okay,
though.
so then why should I hold your position if you can't actually give me the methodology?
Because if I told you about a magical event that happened, you wouldn't believe just my testimony. You wouldn't believe me
What
and
does my
best friend's
individual
testimony.
mental state have to do with the methodology?
Because we're talking about reasonable people here.
So
a
what does
reasonable
my
person-
individual mental state have to do with the methodology? Either you have a methodology or you don't.
What's the exact number you would need to believe that Muhammad was really the
So
divine
just more
revelation
too
of
okay
Allah?
fallacies. You're not willing to actually address this argument in this conversation. You want to jump all over the place, right? So
No,
my
'cause you asked
mechanism,
me an
my
exact
mechanism, my
number.
methodology is the historic reportage model, right? I apply the historic standard to each individual event, right? And if it holds up, then I say there's a justifiable reason to believe it is true. I don't hold a dogmatic viewpoint that, hey, if I see something that goes against my worldview, that I'm going to reject it. So I have a methodology. Okay. What is yours?
Well, my methodology is obviously looking at things in history and comparing it to other things, comparing it to other people who had wrote stuff down in history. So I don't necessarily just blindly believe what just a few people had said, another few people had
That's
saw.
not a methodology. Just keep telling me why you don't believe things. Give me a mechanism and a methodology on how we would go through history and conclude that an event is actually true and actually happened.
Comparing it to, like I said, I would say contemporary and comparing it to many, many different other sources.
Comparing it to other sources. Great. I agree. We would compare it to other sources. So if I compare it to other sources, I have more evidence for Jesus Christ than I have for the vast majority of those events that have happened.
We don't disagree that Jesus died and was crucified.
I have more evidence for his resurrection than all these other events. Why should I reject it?
I just disagree about that.
What do you mean?
Who do you
what do you mean you just disagree about that? We have 21 individual eyewitness accounts according to the Gospels and Acts.
21 eyewitness accounts. Who are they?
So Mary Magdalene would be one of them. The 12 disciples
Did she
would be
ever write
some of
anything
them.
down?
Did they write them down personally? No.
Okay, so again, it's secondhand, so it's not firsthand accounts.
So when you read a newspaper, do you only trust the events that are written down by the people who personally wrote it? So like when it records like Donald Trump did an event, you only believe it if Donald Trump wrote it down?
So no, but I'm saying
no. Now you don't do that. Now you don't do that for the vast majority of things. In history books, when you read that, you don't trust anything that just they wrote personally. Right? You trust the people that recorded the events that happened. And that is how history is done in the past. That's what Josephus did. He recorded what other people said. That's what Tacitus did. Luke, when he goes in, he starts his gospel by saying, I'm going to take an account of the eyewitnesses to the event and record it down. This is what Demetrius did, right? That's what we see in history. Now you're making this claim that we have to have it directly from the person who saw it themselves. Why?
Because it's a magical claim.
So
if I told you about a magic trick I saw and I said, no, it's not a fake magic trick, he did real
You're just
magic.
talking about an individual mental state. Give me the argument.
So
I want
Mary
an actual
Magdalene
argument.
was an individual mental state, correct?
Mary Magdalene is a witness. She gave testimony to the event.
Okay, so what's the difference between an individual
We're not talking about her mental state or what she's convinced of.
We pretty much are, yes.
No, we're not. We're not talking about her individual mental state if she's convinced that Jesus Christ is God or if she's convinced of whether or not she would believe it or not believe it. She's recording an event she witnessed.
No, she's not recording it. Someone is recording her memory.
Someone's recording the event that she witnessed. She's giving testimony to the event. That has zero to do with individual mental state on whether you're convinced of something. Because she's not recording down what she's convinced of. She's recording down what she saw.
Yes, well, someone else is recording down what she saw. So again, they're getting that secondhand information.
Yeah, and you're not giving me a reason why that's not something I can trust.
Because if you come to me and I tell you,
that's an individual mental state and it's a two-coquet fallacy. I want an actual mechanism and an argument.
What's the difference? I could say that Mary Magdalene was an individual witness mental state.
Do you know what a two-coquet fallacy is?
Tell me. I don't actually.
Okay, so then why do you keep talking as if you knew what it was? A two-coquet fallacy, it says, what about them? That's basically what it is. Instead of actually addressing the argument that's at hand, that's being put in front of you, you just point at somebody else and say, well, it's not consistent over there, so I don't have to be consistent over here.
No, it's called making an analogy.
That's not an analogy. It's a two-coquet fallacy. You're saying, I wouldn't be convinced of this, so therefore you shouldn't be convinced of this. That's
so whataboutism. Let me explain. You're saying Mary Magdalene was a direct witness, so that is not a psychological mental state. But you're saying if I was a direct witness to something else and you came to me to get that information, then I would just be a psychological mental state and not a direct witness.
No, you asking me if I'd be convinced of it. That's my individual mental state. Yes, you would be a direct witness and give testimony and we would take account of what you said.
Correct.
Now you're asking me if I'd be convinced of it. That's a different thing. That's an individual mental state.
I never asked you if you'd be convinced of it.
Yes, you did. You literally said, if I did this thing and showed it to you, you wouldn't believe me. That's what you said.
Yes, well, for sure. And that's why do we have to believe Mary Magdalene's second-hand
So now that's the two-coquet fallacy. That's your individual mental state.
It's making the exact
I don't
analogy.
care whether or not you're convinced. I don't care if you're convinced of it. I don't care if I'm convinced of a specific event. There's a mechanism in which we apply in history. Either it's a justifiable good standard to say that, yes, this event happened and I'm justified for holding it, or it's not. It does not matter if you're convinced of it. Are the people that are convinced that the earth is not round?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah. So who cares? They're convinced of it for different reasons. Everybody's going to have an individual mental state on why they're convinced of certain positions. We're asking, is this a justifiable reason? Is it a good position to hold for any rational person? You're not providing an argument why it's an irrational position to hold.
Yes, I am. I'm saying that I don't believe the second-hand account of Mary Magdalene.
That's your individual mental state. Why should I care what you believe? You're not giving an argument for why it's an irrational position, unless your argument is, well, I don't believe it, and therefore I'm the rational standard.
I was giving you a comparison to give my argument. I'm saying, for example, right? You can do that in arguments. For example, I don't believe in someone's direct witness testimony of being abducted by aliens. I don't believe it because they don't.
Congratulations. That's your are you the rational standard? Are you the standard that we must derive all rational justifications from?
If you're saying all
answer the question, please.
No.
Okay, so then why should I care if you're convinced of an event?
Well, if I'm not in your head, then I can't tell you why you were not convinced of a certain event. But I'm telling you what's rational. Like I said,
you're
this is all about
you're saying it's
person.
rational because you don't believe it. That's literally what you're saying. You said I would not believe if somebody told me they were abducted by aliens. Therefore, that's the rational position.
Yes.
You're saying you're the rational standard.
So what is the rational standard then? Who is the rational standard?
No one person is the rational standard, right? We
Okay,
have
then
we
relax.
have logical systems, right? You can implement a logical system. If you don't find an inconsistency or an issue with that system, then you have a justification. A justification just means you have a good reason to believe what you believe. Now, you could say I'm not convinced of that. That's fine. That's your individual mental state. I am convinced of it, and you haven't given me a reason to reject it.
But the problem is you can be convinced of it for totally irrational reasons.
Yes, give me the irrational reason. What is the irrationality in my methodology?
The irrational reason is you're saying that you believe in something that came decades later from a secondhand account of a person who might have saw something.
That is how most of history is done if you're going to strawman it.
Do you believe all of history?
Here's the thing. It's a consistent method, right? So you're saying, I believe in something that the historic reportage model holds to, that is convinced most of everybody else of these other historical events. You're saying I'm irrational for holding the position that all historians hold.
No, all historians hold the position that Jesus died and was crucified. They do not hold the position that he was resurrected.
And how did they come to the conclusion that he died and he was crucified?
Because other sources around that time, like you had mentioned, Josephus and Tacitus talked about a Christian uprising and the fact that this guy was crucified.
Right.
But they don't mention anything about the resurrection.
So fine, they don't, but Clement and Ignatius do, and they're in the same time period as Josephus and Tacitus.
What exactly did they say?
They said that Jesus Christ died and resurrected.
And why do you believe their account over the other people's account who said that he did not?
Give me one source says he didn't.
One source that says
one source.
No one
one source in that time period. Go ahead. You said, why don't I believe the people who said he did not? Give me a source that says he did not.
I'm saying no. I'm not saying that they wrote down specifically that he did not resurrect. I'm saying that they didn't write anything about him resurrecting.
That's an argument from silence. That's a fallacious argument.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Arguments from silence by definition is a fallacy.
People don't write things that don't happen. I'm saying you misinterpreted my words. I'm not saying that the historians specifically wrote down Jesus did not resurrect. I'm saying that they didn't write anything about the resurrection because it didn't happen.
That's an argument of silence by definition, because I have other people who did write it down.
So, okay, why do you put all your trust in these people who said something, but not the majority of other people who did?
All the sources. I'm applying the historical method. Now, you said that I'm not doing the same mechanism that historians are doing. What am I doing differently?
Well, like I said, I don't know. We can agree to disagree, and you can move on to someone else.
It's not agree to disagree, man. You haven't made an argument. You haven't given me a reason why my position's irrational, except you're not convinced of it. That's all you said.
I don't agree with secondhand accounts of decades later of magic.
Yes, you do, because you believe other events that have happened from secondhand accounts. You're lying.
Nothing magical in history. I don't believe in anything
so you're
magical in
special
history.
pleading to these specific events, and you haven't given a reason why.
Because it goes against the laws of physics, right?
Or are the laws of physics descriptive or prescriptive?
I don't know.
You don't know if the laws of physics are descriptive or prescriptive?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Well, here's a problem. If they're descriptive, if we see anything that goes against our understanding of the laws of physics, we're going to have to say, no, that's bad, go back.
No, we're going to have to inspect it. And so let me give you an example. We have plenty of resurrection accounts in history.
Oh my God, you're running from the topic. But you said it goes against the laws of nature.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If the laws of nature are prescriptive, you're going to have huge problems, because if we do anything in science that goes against our understanding of the laws of physics, we're going to have to say, bad, go back and do it. That was prescribed to you.
No, that is not true.
That's what prescription means.
if we had a legitimate account of resurrection history and
You're running again. Stop running.
No, you're crazy. Hold on. Do you believe in any other resurrections from any other account in history? We have hundreds of them. You believe in all of them.
I didn't say I believe in all of them. See, notice how you did a quick change there? You asked me, do I believe any? And I said yes. And you said, okay, so you believe all of them? Do you think that's honest conversation?
Do you believe in any other resurrection outside the Bible?
Outside of the Bible? I don't know. I haven't looked at it. Craig Keener notes about 80 different resurrections. I haven't examined and studied them. It's possible.
Why have you not taken an examination of all of them as seriously as this one, though?
I don't care.
Why would you not care? Other people have claimed to be God. Other people have claimed
Those
to have
people didn't claim to be God.
In other religions?
Oh my God. You asked about the fucking resurrection and now it's religions?
And
stay on a topic, dude.
Have claimed to be God.
Yes. Okay. You asked specifically about resurrections and you said those people claim to be God. And I said, no, they didn't claim to be God, right? I did read the first bit of the Craig Keener's book, but I haven't fully examined it like I did with the Jesus Christ account. But none of them claim to be God. And I said, none of them claim to be God. And then you said in other religions, notice how you set me up with one standard. This is what you keep doing. You're like, here's a standard. I give an answer to that question. And then you try to switch it and say that that's what I said. You did that 2 seconds ago when you said, oh, you believe all resurrection accounts. And then you did it just here when you said, well, these specific people that resurrect, I said, well, they're not claiming to be God. And then you said, well, all these people in other religions claim to be God. Notice how you keep doing that. You can't stay on a topic and you can't give an argument.
And he's been
That's not true.
Island.
It's literally
It is
true.
true.
Yes.
Good for you guys. Believe in everything, believe in nothing, whatever you want to do.
Good cope.
Oh my God. Okay. Let's see if we're going to get a decent conversation today. Tyler, hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
Hello.
Hi, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
I'm 31.
All right, man. Can you convince me to stop worshiping Jesus?
I guess my fundamental argument, if you will, would be that it makes me think of the Bruce Lee quote where he says, he's pointing at the moon and he says, if you look at my finger, you're missing all the heavenly glory. In other words, the moon is God in this example. And to me, Jesus would be the finger or the signpost pointing to the formless. And even Jesus himself would say something like, no one's greater but the Father, or the Father is greater than me. In other words, there's something above Jesus, which would be God. So I wouldn't say to stop fundamentally worshiping Jesus, because I just believe Jesus has good morals and has good teachings, but I think that Jesus is trying to point at God.
All right, make the argument.
Well, that's my argument is I'm not going to tell you what to do per se when it comes to religion. I think it's more of a subjective thing, but the argument would be that it would be in our best interest to worship God, not
That's
Jesus,
a conclusion.
because Jesus is the signpost.
That's a conclusion.
Do you think we should worship Jesus or do you think we should worship God? Aren't those two, do you delineate those two things?
Jesus is God.
You don't believe Jesus is a messenger of God?
And those two statements can be true at the same time.
How?
Can you be a father and an uncle at the same time?
Yes.
Great. So why can't you be a messenger and God at the same time?
Let me think about that for just a second. I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is, couldn't anyone be a messenger for God?
Logically, yeah. That doesn't
I mean, isn't that what you're doing here, trying to be a messenger for Jesus?
I'm not a
correct?
messenger of God, no. I am not an apostle.
Well, all right. Well, then that aside, wouldn't you say that anyone therefore could be a messenger of God and Jesus?
Logically, someone can be a messenger of God. That doesn't mean that they are.
Well, how would we know if they are or aren't?
Yeah. So, well, if we're talking about prophets, it gives us a standard. If a prophet says anything that doesn't come to fruition, then they're not a prophet. Jesus showed us who he is by his miracles and by showing us a relation between him and Yahweh of the Old Testament. So it's the hands argument. It's the honor, attribute, names, deed, and seed. Basically, the idea is if it walks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it must be
a duck.
Right. So if Jesus walks like a god, talks like a god, acts like a god, shares the seed of a god, has the name of a god, has the honors of God, attributes of God, name of God, then he must be.
Okay. Would you agree that God is omnipotent, omniscient, etc.?
God has the omni properties, yes.
So if Jesus is pointing at God, that which is omniscient and omnipotent, couldn't we say that other religious figures that other people would view as, quote, prophets in their religion are also pointing at this omnipotent, omnipresent, almost that which cannot be known, which we call God?
No, if I say my lamppost has the omni properties, that doesn't mean I'm pointing to the God of the Old Testament.
True, I would say there are delineations there on what we would call. Okay, I can see your point there. I guess another question I would ask you, can anyone actually know what God is?
Not in its totality, right? There's a great little story of Thomas Aquinas, who wrote 28,000 pages on the nature of God, the Summa Theologica. And when he finished writing it, so he said he stood before the cross, and the cross spoke to him, says, "You have written well of me, my son. Ask anything in my name, and I'll give it to you." In which Thomas Aquinas replied, "I only wish to know you, my Lord." And then he was given knowledge of God, and he stopped writing because he said, everything I've written down is but like one hay in a haystack compared to who God is.
Right. But, going back to Thomas Aquinas, he was also a man of the church. He believed that you had to go through the church in order to understand God.
That's completely irrelevant to what I was saying.
Well, I'm more pointing at the fact that wouldn't Thomas Aquinas also be someone who has a certain subjective perspective based
completely
on where
irrelevant
he
to what I
lived?
was saying. I didn't say Thomas Aquinas is the standard and we must follow him and everything he says is true. Like that is relevant, like nothing to do with what I said.
No, I'm saying that you're pointing at that Jesus is talking about a certain God.
I'm just giving a fun story about how we can't know all of God. That's all I did, man.
Right. No, I understand that. I'm only saying that, couldn't we say that Thomas Aquinas, maybe he didn't even know what Buddhism was or Taoism or
moving on, because I was the point wasn't to hyper focus on Thomas Aquinas. I was just using him for a cool story to say we don't know all of God. Squid, hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
Hi, I'm pretty good. I'm 36.
All right, man. Can you convince me to stop worshiping Jesus?
No, I don't think I can because I don't think you worship Jesus.
Oh, great. Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
I'm 39.
All right, man. Can you convince me to stop worshiping Jesus?
I can always try, right?
Okay, go ahead.
So, have you ever read like any scientific literature, like a book on evolution or anything?
I read quantum. What was it? Neil deGrasse Tyson's book, Metaphysics for People. No, what was it? Something for People in a Hurry. What was the first title?
Okay, well, are you familiar with like plate tectonics?
I know
like
roughly,
volcanoes. And
I know roughly how they
like
work
volcanoes
and do,
are
but
made.
I wouldn't say I'm an expert. No. Yeah, the idea is they shift and they move and they push against each other and it creates mountains.
Yeah, and that's like been about in geologic time. Like time based way before we were even there. Like technically, we've only been here for 300,000 years. Is that like provable? Yes, it is. So let's move on.
Okay, prove it.
Go look at the fossil record, and there's evidence from Ethiopia.
So your proof is for me to go do
Homo
go get the evidence
erectus
myself.
came around 300,000 years.
Okay, prove it.
Like this is. Have you ever seen any fossils before?
Yes, I used to live in a town. It's called Drumheller, Alberta, which is like the fossil capital of Canada, right? And we go to the Tyrrell Museum all the time, and you see fossils. I even walked around the community and dug up fossils myself.
Do you know what like carbon dating is? Like, do you know?
I don't know the mechanism in carbon dating. Do you? How does it work?
I know enough about it with the isotopes and all that to have a general understanding. I'm not trying to like
Okay, so how does
chop
it
you
work?
down for not knowing it, nor not trying to do what you're doing right now. But
I'm not chopping anyone down for not knowing things. I'm asking. I'm saying I don't know. Tell me how it works.
carbon dating?
Yes.
Well, there's amount of isotopes in each carbon.
What's an isotope?
I'm not like a scientist. Like I said, you have to go look it up if you want to have a general understanding. But the synopsis of it,
hold on,
in a
pause
nutshell.
for a second. You're bringing up.
No.
Hold on. You're jumping. Just pause for a second.
Be that I have to tell you
Pause
the
for a
exact
second.
details.
Please let me just ask this question, man. I'm just asking a clarifying question. You're bringing up this thing as a piece of evidence, something that I must believe in. So I'm asking you to validate why I must believe in it, and you're just telling me to go look up things. You think that's fair?
Well, no, because it's not just like this me putting this one random piece of evidence. This is a widely accepted thing upon a lot of scientists. Pretty much all scientists in the world believe this.
That's an ad populum fallacy.
This has been used in in many different types of methods.
Yeah, I'm not denying that, but that's an ad populum fallacy.
All right. Well, basically, the Bible was written a small amount of time, dude. I've been around enough to know that it's just a way to control
Right, you were
people.
supposed to tell me what carbon dating was.
And yeah, like I'm just telling you, like you're basing all your information off of a Bible.
You're basing all your information off things you can't even tell me if it's true.
I know. Like,
how do you know?
Like,
how do you know carbon dating
can
is
you
true?
ask me this? Like, what if you're wrong?
Then I'm wrong.
I know. Then like you can enjoy life. There's so much more to enjoy.
I'm enjoying life.
There's like you can look outside and look at it through a scientific lens, enjoy it through all these beautiful
part of me is denying
perspectives.
Dog, what part of me is denying science? I'm literally sitting here and asking you to tell me the science, and you're refusing to do it. I'm trying to learn science, and you're refusing to do
You're holding me to these standards of telling you the exact science of how carbon dating works, and holding me to that as if it's like something that since I can't tell you about that it's not I'm illegitimate. Wow, dude! Like
he's not saying that it's
like
illegitimate.
The world's very complex.
He's
That's
not
why
saying you're
people study
illegitimate.
certain fields, dude.
You need to calm down.
Hold on. You said to me that, hey, I can live a better life and I can enjoy science and be a part of it. Is that what you're doing?
I'm listening to stuff that's peer reviewed, trying to learn more about the world.
So you read the peer reviewed papers.
What is wrong with that?
You read the peer reviewed papers, right? You read the 53,000 peer reviewed papers on evolution? You've read them?
No. I mean, I've grown up with a scientific family, so it's not like it's
So did you read peer reviewed papers or didn't you?
Oh my God, dude! You're holding me again to a ridiculous
I'm not holding you. You're bringing. You're
standard
saying this is what we ought to do, and I'm asking you if you did it.
He's asking you questions, and you're just getting really defensive. No one's saying you're dumb. You're bringing up things that
you guys are asking me first, like, oh, how does carbon dating working? Like you're asking me
you're
a
bringing
question.
up things that you're saying
That's
he
like
should
a
know
very
about.
Hold on,
very
both you guys.
generally understood thing.
Hold on,
upon
both you guys,
a
please.
lot of
Hold on, please stop
scientific
talking. I'm gonna have to
disciplines,
kick you.
right? Like, this is-
Please stop talking.
this
I'm
is
gonna have to kick
generally
you.
understood.
Please stop talking. I'm gonna have to kick you. Thank you. All right, guy is crashing out because you pointed out he doesn't actually know what he believes. I'm not even pointing that out. I'm just saying. You told me I should hold the carbon dating, and I'm just asking what it is and how it works. Because you've made a claim that if I knew, and I said no, and I'm asking you, what is it, how it works, and why should I trust it?
You can figure out how old something is through counting the amount of isotopes.
What is an isotope?
That it has, how long it's been decaying.
What's an isotope?
There's a half-life to every atom, right? So
what's an isotope?
Certain atoms that take a long time to decay.
Dog, I don't know. You said counting an
it's like
isotope.
down,
What's an
like,
isotope?
You put something in the sun and it starts to break down over time. I'm just talking, dude. You're the one being ridiculous.
Clarifying question. What is an isotope?
There you go again. You're just jumping. You're just jumping to the next thing. Like, oh, now that you can explain this, now you have to explain an isotope. Now you're gonna have to explain this.
You're very insecure, my friend.
Like, it's just like
you're very insecure.
You can't even just move on to the next thing. Like you're trying to stop me on this like ridiculously small, insignificant, small.
He's not
subject.
quizzing you. He's not trying to make you look stupid. He's asking a clarifying question. You said it's
Have
done.
you ever read a book about evolution or biology?
It's done. You're saying it's done by counting isotopes, and John says, "What's an isotope?" And then you lost it. We're not trying to make you look dumb.
Unless you don't know what an isotope is, then you're making yourself look dumb.
Yourself, yeah. Like, we're just asking you a question.
You're Googling isotope right now. We know because you left the app.
Is he crying as he crashes out? Have no one ever questioned his worldview before?
We're not even
Whoa.
questioning his worldview. We're just
I'm just
trying
asking
to
for a
listen.
here's the thing. Most people hold to these like scientific standards and they've never looked at it themselves. They just hold to it through testimony of people around them. They say everybody around them told them, so therefore they had it's true. And it's just a fact. It's just a fact. You just know it. But then you ask them to justify it and they can't. Oh, he left.
Got so defensive so fast.
Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
Hello, 23.
All right, man. Can you convince me to stop worshiping Jesus?
Sure. So it says that you were Christian and then you turned to Christianity.
Yeah, I was atheist for most of my adult life. Yeah.
Okay, so can I just ask you, like, what?
It's irrelevant to the topic.
Pushed you? Okay, no, for sure. So what do you think about controlled media?
What?
How do you feel? How do you feel about media? Like, how do you think?
What does that have to do with anything?
Well, so how many people were there when Jesus was resurrected? 20 or say?
There's 21 eyewitnesses to the event. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So in controlled environments like that, say a group of 20, how easily is it to get 20 people to agree to say they witnessed something?
Pretty difficult.
Pretty difficult. I mean, I don't think it's really that hard.
Can you gather 21 people to come up with a lie that's going to put them under persecution and have the whole world, like not the whole world, but the whole world that they live in, start chasing them and want to unalive them? Could you do that?
Personally, no.
Right. Okay. So you're saying that's an easy thing to do.
Goal.
That's an easy thing to do.
It's easy.
Can you show me?
I never said it was easy.
Okay, but then I said no, and you said you disagreed. I said it's not an easy thing to do.
Okay, well, what about kings, queens, rulers, people that follow others' words like blindly, not because they see them
they're
as
under
God
threat of persecution.
or-
People who are under kings and queens, if they don't abide by them, they're going to be persecuted. What does that have to do with anything?
Sure, for sure. I mean, that's true in a sense, but others also believed in their kings and queens, right? That's why they didn't leave the village.
Can you give me the relevance?
Pursue other lives. Well, I'm just trying to say it's pretty easy to gather a group of people and convince them of a certain ideology.
Okay. Now it's time to move on because you just double back on yourself twice. First, you said it was easy. I said it's not easy. You say, well, I'm not saying it's easy. And then you went back and said it's pretty easy, right? You stay consistent, man. Like, come on. Ellen Smith. Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
I am good. I am 29.
All right, man. Can you convince me to stop worshiping Jesus?
I don't think so, but I guess we could try for a few minutes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. The first thing that came to mind when I saw your prompt, which was quite unique, is that I think it'd be difficult to show that Jesus is alive.
What?
I think it would be difficult to show that Jesus is alive. I mean, so I'm an atheist and I believe Jesus is real, but I think he was just a human that died. So when you say, convince me to not worship him, I would say, well, why are you worshiping someone who is dead?
What's your argument?
That you probably shouldn't worship someone who is dead.
That's a conclusion.
It's an attempt to convince you, right? Do you think it's good to worship something that is dead?
No.
So I can show that Jesus is dead. I don't think that you can show that he's alive.
Okay, show me he's dead.
It is historically known from the Gospels, which are in part treated as a historical document, and from Tacitus and from Josephus that he was crucified by the Romans.
Right, and the same Gospels say he resurrected. The epistles say he resurrected. Clement and Ignatius are within the same time period also say he resurrected. Why should I accept one, deny the other?
The immediate answer would be that one of these claims is more difficult, but I think that even if you can show that he resurrected at that time, I don't think you'd be able to show that he's alive right now. I always found it very suspect that he
those events that recorded his resurrection say he ascended up into heaven, right? And there's an aspect of faith. I agree with you. There's an aspect of faith, right? Where we have to say, hey, Jesus did all these things. He died and resurrected. He showed these miracles, and he says that he is eternal and he has an eternal forever body, a glorified body, and that he's going to come. There's an aspect of faith there. That's a trust in him because of what he did. I agree with that. That's fine. But I am justified to say that he died and resurrected. So therefore, I'd say I'm justified to have faith in him and trust in him.
I think that's the most honest response you can give, that you have faith that he's alive. But I think that was my original position, that you're not going to be able to demonstrate.
No. I say there's an aspect of faith, and I say I have a justification to have that faith.
I agree.
So if I have a justification to have that faith, then I'm good to hold my position.
Sorry, I lose my train of thought a bit when I get interrupted, but it's your life, so definitely you can do as you please. So I agree insofar as
you're right.
Faith,
you're right. I can do what I please. That's why I'm not wearing pants right now. I'm just joking. Go ahead.
I guess that's the second time I'm about to respond and I lose my train of thought. But so yes, point taken. It is faith, but you have some reason. I think that is exactly what I've said, that you can't demonstrate. And I guess when I mean demonstrate, I mean without any doubt prove. In the same way that I can prove that Barack Obama is currently alive, I believe you can't prove the same amount of confidence that Jesus is alive.
Okay, can you give me anything that's proven that's not mathematical or logical?
To the extent that I'm talking about, for example, Barack Obama, I think, yes, that is not mathematical or logical.
Okay.
And if you want to,
how do you definitively prove that Barack Obama exists? A proof means that without a doubt, that is what it is. That's what proof means.
I half agree. I mean, I'll take you for it. And what I was going to say when I got interrupted is that we could quibble on what we mean by proof, and I'm describing what I mean by it. To answer your question, if I can see Barack Obama, or if I can see some very good photographic, historical, or video proof.
If you can, or if you have, those are different things.
Both. I think these would increase in the amount of proof.
So then if Jesus is God, I can see him. I haven't. So if that qualifies as a standard of proof, by definition, I can. There's nothing logically or metaphysically possible stopping me from seeing him. I just haven't done it.
Do you think that your quote unquote can here is in the same effectiveness as my ability to see Barack Obama, or your ability to see Barack Obama? Are you saying these in the same capacity?
I didn't say it's in the same capacity. No, but I'm saying you said you can do it. Right. So if that's a standard to say, like, hey, there's a proof of something. Well, I can see Jesus Christ. I just haven't.
I interestingly think you're doing very fair points, but I guess I'll just clarify by saying that I'm just going to go back to the Barack Obama situation. So you use can in a completely fair manner up until how it's been defined until now, but I'll just bring it back to Barack Obama. And so I said, is it the same can as Barack Obama? You said no. Okay, well, I guess I'm not being precise in my terms, but if you would allow it, let's now say that when I say can, it needs to be in the same capacity as being able to see Barack Obama.
Okay, well, that's fine, but there's many things. Like, can I see Barack Obama in the same capacity I can see my wife? Therefore, am I less likely to believe Barack Obama's real versus my wife?
Yes. Okay. The answer to that question is yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So then what is the exact quantifiable method where you would say somebody is real versus not on the Ken standard that you brought forward?
I don't know. I mean, if we're doing from 1 to 100, your ability to see your wife is 100. I'm going to guess it's the person behind you.
Mm-hmm.
Barack Obama's probably 1%. I'll bring that up to 30%. I personally think that God is at 0%.
Well, that's begging the question.
I'm just making a personal assumption. I mean, this metric is very weird for constructed. Point being,
Well, no, we're doing literally. It's called a Bayes analysis. That's what we're doing right now. We're saying what's the probability of an event happening? 0 meaning it absolutely cannot happen no matter what. 1 being that it's for sure going to happen. Now you're saying like me seeing my wife. What's the probability that I can see her? Well, I can see her right now, so the probability is 1, right? Unless I'm having some sort of hallucination, so we could probably drop it down to like a 0.9. Now you're saying that seeing Barack Obama is like a 0.1, but that's still enough to say that he is real and he exists. But then you're making a big assertion that God or seeing Jesus is an absolute 0. That means you got a huge burden of proof to substantiate that claim.
I won't. You're trying to make the claim that there's different probabilities of seeing certain people, such as your wife and Barack Obama. There is a continuum here that we're describing in percentage probabilities that I have the task to give a reasonable number at which I stop believing that that person exists. For example, I believe that Barack Obama is less, but I still believe that he exists. And you're saying, well, at what point do you stop believing they exist? Is that
at what point is the mechanism of I can see somebody disprove their existence, right? Like it's like no matter what I do, I will not be able to what percentage would you say, hey, because right now if I really want to go see Barack Obama in person, I don't think my odds are good.
I disagree.
How would I do it?
So off the cuff, I said 30%. I think you could find his schedule for one of his talks where he primaries for someone. Like, I think 30%. Like, if you put all of your mind and effort into it.
Okay, let's use a different example. Kim Jong-un.
Mm-hmm.
What's the probability if I wanted to see Kim Jong-un in person, I could do it?
5%.
5%.
Is the argument here? There are people you can't see, but I, the atheist, would accept they exist.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, because I can't see God, doesn't necessarily mean God doesn't exist.
Right. Well, you're making an you're trying to talk about. We were talking about definitive proofs, right? How can we definitively prove something? And then we moved into you could definitively prove Barack Obama exists, and it's because you can. Right, and use that specific word. Because I asked you, what's the difference between can and will, and you said it's because you can see him. Well, so then I hyper focused on that. I said, okay, well, I can see Jesus Christ if he exists. And so, at what point do you say it's a definitive proof? Because if I wanted to go see Kim Jong Un, I'd say my probability of doing that is nowhere near 5%. Nowhere near 5%. I think I'm going to die well before I even get even remotely close to him.
Okay, so you agree to this percentage argument. I think it's a bit weird, but it is interesting.
Well, I don't agree to it. I'm doing what's called an internal critique. I'm seeing if you're consistent.
And it will break down if you can get me to say there's someone that I think has a very low probability that I can see them, yet I still think they exist. Is that one of your goals?
Well, no, I'm just trying to see what your consistent standard is for a proof. Because you said, yeah, I can prove something. But it seems like you don't have a mechanism or a methodology to definitively prove, yes, this thing. Now, I don't hold to the position that most things in life and metaphysics that we can definitively prove. I say either you have a justification, I am justified to believe that this event happened, and therefore I'm justified to hold a certain position, or you don't have a justification for it. Either you have enough evidence and sufficient for a rational person to hold, or you don't. That's the position I hold. And I think there is enough evidence for a rational person to hold that Jesus Christ died and resurrected. Therefore, that person is justified to believe Jesus is who he says he is, given the principle of charity.
I don't disagree with anything you say, but I thought the task at hand was for you to prove that Jesus was alive.
No, read the topic. Convince me to stop worshiping Jesus.
And the argument that I presented, or the means that I was going to try to convince you, was that you can't show that he's alive, and then you agreed that you probably shouldn't worship someone who's dead.
Well, yeah, but you're concluding that he's dead. I can't definitively prove that Jesus is alive right now, no, but I have a justification to believe that he is.
Under, and let's take a Bayesian analysis, under which prior Jesus being dead or alive would you assume to be true, given the observations
on a prior? Like if we're taking a prior, that's going to just be based off your background knowledge, right? So you'd have a prior, somebody who's atheistic is going to have a very low prior for some sort of divine revelation. If you take a neutral position, I'd say the prior is a 0.5. And I think if we start at a 0.5, right, it goes very much up when we start, goes up as we start implementing new data. Now, if we can even start at like a low prior probability, I'd say that, hey, we could say that somebody dying and resurrected is so uncommon and so unlikely throughout history that we have to take a lower prior. So let's say we take something like a 0.2, right? That's our prior, right? You and I can agree. If you just say somebody resurrected, I'm going to say it's probably pretty low that actually happened. But then we can start incorporating data and information. And as we do that, we have to update our information, and it starts going up and up and up. And I think the data is sufficient to say that a person can rationally hold to the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. And if they can rationally hold that, they can also rationally hold that he is who he says he is, and put a faith and a trust in that.
It feels like, so by the way, I was not using prior in that way. I was using it in a prior selection sort of algorithm where you actually do not know which prior to use for your observation. And so you run 2 experiments with 2 different priors.
Your priors is just going to be your background knowledge. Whatever you have for background knowledge is going to be what your priors are and what position you take. So people don't resurrect from dead. We don't see that. So we say probably right off the bat, there's a low prior.
We might have to borrow that discussion for later. Point being that I was going to say you quickly go into this whole thing of life, death, and resurrection and who he is. I'm just trying to, I thought we were just trying to figure out if he was dead or alive. And I was trying to make the point that, if he is alive, would we expect the data to be, it is what it is, which is that we haven't had any record of him for the last 2,000 years.
Well, we have record of him for the last 2,000 years. Right, we have Genghis Khan, a record of Genghis Khan having a vision of him. We have people who've had what do you call NDE, near-death experiences, where they interact and walk with Jesus. We have Mary apparitions that happen at like Fatima, for example. These are all things that you would expect to see if Jesus actually is who he said he is. We have the miracle accounts, for example, of like Bruce Van Natta getting his intestines grow back, Marlene Kleeps being in having multiple sclerosis and being like in a vegetative state, and then all of a sudden being healed through the power of God. Like, we have these events in these cases that you would expect to see if Jesus Christ is who he says he is.
By the way, this is exactly the sort of thing that I like to deal with an algorithm, an argument, like these empirical evidence. So I really like you bringing it up. I find a person's personal account of see something very unconvincing. I'm surprised that you do.
No, you don't. Yeah, most of your life is lived off of testimony. As a matter of fact, I probably say that most things that you hold to and you say that you believe it because of testimony.
I do not believe the testimony you just gave. So
that's not originally what you, I didn't give a testimony. I'm giving an argument. I'm not testifying of something that I experienced or went through.
You presented someone's testimony. You said Genghis Khan saw Jesus, and you said,
I'm saying we have recorded information that he saw Jesus, and these are things that you would expect to see throughout history if he did resurrect. I'm not saying he actually saw it. I'm saying we have. You said there's nothing in history for 2,000 years. That's a big claim. I'm saying we have events throughout history, whether they're true or false, of what you would expect to see of Jesus Christ. You can't say there's nothing, because then you have to go through each one of these events and prove that it wasn't some sort of divine revelation.
Okay, I think that was a bit of an odd quibble. I was just repeating what you said about Genghis Khan. I wasn't saying if that was your testimony or not. Fact is, and I guess we can agree right now, Genghis Khan said that he saw Jesus. Is that what you mean?
I don't know if he said it himself. We know we have. Like, I haven't read the full document. I went and looked at like a quotation of it, and it just says that there's a recorded event of him having interaction with Jesus when he went to invade a town. Apparently, Jesus revealed himself to him, and he turned back.
Okay.
I'm not saying that event took place. That's not my claim.
You're saying someone said that he said he saw it.
Again, I'm not entirely sure. I don't really remember. It's been a while.
Okay, I'm afraid this is not important. I mean, someone in the past 2,000 years testified.
My point is that we have all these individual claims, and the Genghis Khan one could be false. I actually think the Genghis Khan one is false, personally. But I'm saying we have all these events through history. You said there's zero. Mm-hmm. You'd have to go through each individual one and show me that they're all zero to say that there's zero.
Wow. That's an extremely tall order. Do you think I need to talk to every single Bigfoot
if you're going to claim, 100%. If you're going to claim that there's zero evidence of Jesus Christ interacting with humanity since the death and resurrection, then you have to go through each individual piece of evidence that claims to be an interaction with Jesus Christ and disprove it.
I think that in common parlance, I just mean that I'm very confident that these wouldn't happen. I've never claimed to have done that analysis. An educated guess. I mean, I could confidently say right now that if we were to delve into every single Bigfoot sighting, that it would turn out that it was bogus. Have I done it? No, but I just happen to have that opinion.
Yeah, that's
And
just that's just a too okay. You're just pointing at something else and saying.
I'm just making a point. I mean, and I'll extend it to yours. I'm pretty sure that if we went through these sightings in the past 2,000 years, I think that none of them would be convincing and would be very similar to any other.
Okay, but that's not an argument. You're just saying I don't think I'll be convinced of arguments I haven't looked at. That's literally what I'm saying.
I don't disagree, but I wasn't trying to make an argument. You said, what do you mean that,
Well, no, you made a claim that there's zero events. That's a claim. Right?
Right.
So you have to substantiate that.
Mm-hmm. I was trying to clarify insofar as I meant it. I don't mean that I can prove or that I have looked at all of these
then I can
claims.
dismiss that claim.
Sure. I mean, I think that I would be on the winning side of the actual simulation where we go one by one on these claims. For example,
I'd be on the winning side.
Sorry. I'll just finish my sentence.
I'm going to cut you off because I'm not interested in you just telling me I haven't looked at the evidence. I haven't looked at the arguments, but I think if we did, I'd be right. I'm not interested in that.
Fair. I was just going to make the point that we did it for a minute with Genghis Khan, and that turned out to be false to your admission. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think that event probably happened.
Sure.
But I think Marlene Kleeps happened.
When was this?
This was like recently. I think it was like the 90s. We have her documents. We have her medical reports.
Why they saw Jesus?
She, right, being a Christian individual, is in a completely vegetative state. She's in a fetal position. She can't move, talk, or do anything for years. Then all of a sudden, out of the blue, she hears God, the Christian God, that was in the context, speak directly to her and say, "Get up and walk." And so she gets up and walks immediately. All the doctor report says everything that she had is just completely gone. That is something you would expect to see if the Christian God is real. And if the Christian God is real, that is Jesus Christ.
Are there any recordings of these words?
The recording of the actual voice? No, just her testimony of it.
Okay. I mean, this seems pretty consistent with a hallucination.
So your argument against that is that she just somehow came over this disease that no one ever comes over and is healed in one moment because she hallucinated?
I'm trying to isolate the miracle, which I'd obviously be happy to discuss, with the current claim that
placebo. Somebody said it's placebo. Gotcha. Multiple sclerosis cured through placebo. Why didn't doctors think of that?
I didn't say it was.
No, you
placebo.
didn't. I was talking about chat. That's fair.
That's obviously impressive. I'm glad that happened. But what I would like is Obama level proof that someone exists, which would be a recording or a photo. And so when you said that,
I'm not interested.
I just gravitated. Like. Okay. Interesting. This, and this really helps me to.
I don't have a picture. I don't have a picture of Julius Caesar. They made a stone tablet, but they could have made a stone tablet about anybody. I don't have no idea if that was an actual image of him.
I'm sorry. I don't know where that came from. I mean,
well, you said I need Obama level evidence. I need a picture of this person to believe it. Well, you don't have a picture of Julius Caesar, but you probably believe
Julius Caesar was not alive when photography was invented. I'm sorry.
Right. So then you're asking a ridiculous standard.
But Jesus,
I want a picture of Jesus Christ, his death and resurrection at a time where there's no pictures.
No. You're saying that he's alive right now. And I think that if he's alive right now, photography exists right now. I don't see why we don't have a photo of him.
He's not on Earth.
He's not on Earth?
No.
So I guess, it's starting to be a bit unfalsifiable, right? He's just somewhere where...
it's not unfalsifiable. You're demanding a ridiculous standard. You're saying to believe that somebody exists, you need a picture.
Yes. I think that nowadays that's a very fair...
No, it's a silly argument because the vast majority of people that throughout history you believe exist and you don't have a picture of them. Faye, hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
Hi. I am 28 years old, and I am doing pretty well. How are you?
I'm good. Can you convince me to stop worshiping Jesus?
I can try. I'm really eager to get that taco.
Hold on, just real quick. I
I'm
want to address this Big John hang up counter. I have to hang up on them eventually. I don't understand why you guys get so upset when I remove somebody from the live. Literally everybody who does call-in shows does that, including your favorite atheists. They do the same thing. When they get annoyed with somebody or the conversation draws on too long, they hang up on them. Go ahead, Faye. Sorry.
Yeah. So there are really only 2 points that I wanted to bring up that I thought might sway you.
Okay.
And one is that following the Bible, we have the Christian God from that was the same as the Hebrew God and the Jewish God, and the way that I see it is that yes, he is a very loving and good God to us, but he has also definitely done some pretty substantial damage to the human race, which
Okay, but why would that change whether I worship Jesus?
Because Jesus is God and the Holy Spirit and the Trinity.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that I see it is that yes, he did create us, but I would say that
Faye,
you
you
can't.
seem really nice. I don't want to seem rude to you, but I need you to tell me the argument. Where are we going here?
Yeah, to holding him to the same standard that we hold the people around us. And
okay, why do we get to
I
hold
think
God to any
that
standard? What gives us that right?
that's a good question. I would say I would argue that and say what takes that right away from us.
What is a right?
I would.
Who gave you the right? How do you
the
have
ability,
it? What is it? How does it exist?
Well, a right is an ability to do something, correct?
Okay, so if it's just the ability to do something, then I have the right to roundhouse kick my wife in the head right now because I have the ability to do it.
Well, you would be arrested for that.
But I have the right to do it.
No.
Okay, so it's not the ability to do something. So what is a right?
Well, the ability to do something without any retroactive harm coming against you.
Okay, so then you don't have the right because if you judge God, he'll put you in hell.
I mean, I suppose, but I mean that's not the way that I view it. But I can understand how one would see it that way. The God that I know and that I was raised with.
Christian God, right? So the Christian God lit Aaron's cousin on fire for lighting incest the wrong way. You don't think he's going to send you to hell for judging him?
Well, the God that I grew up with would be bringing everyone to heaven.
Yeah, but we're not talking about the God you grew up with. The topic is convince me to stop worshiping Jesus. That's the God we're talking about.
Okay. The other aspect that I wanted to talk about is that that why worship Jesus when the three of them are all together? Are you worshiping Jesus separately from the
If I
our
worship
Lord
one,
and
I worship
Savior
the
and the
other.
Holy Spirit?
Yeah, if I worship one, I worship the other two, just simply because they're the same nature.
Okay, so when you worship them all at the same time, and it's not separate
Yeah,
separate worshiping for
the
Jesus.
Christian saying would be we worship the Father through Jesus with the power of the Holy Spirit.
Okay.
It's a unified act.
If I may ask,
I don't share my denomination.
what kind of Christian are you? Sorry?
I don't share my denomination.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Well, it was nice talking to you. I was unable to succeed.
No
Have a great
problem.
rest of your day.
God bless. You too.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Nice person. We like that person. I got to do supers. Remind me after this one, Abby. Okay. Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
I'm 27.
All right, man. Can you convince me to stop worshiping Jesus?
I'm not going to necessarily try to convince you, but I do love to debate the fact that I could potentially have some sort of opinion change with you. But I think in order to do that, I have to form some sort of basis with you. And I've noticed you don't like to share kind of like a lot of personal things like your denomination or what got you into Christianity, which makes it more difficult to kind of understand you as a person.
Why? Why do you need to know my like individual personality to give like a
because I've
logical or
noticed
sound argument against Christianity or the Jesus
I've
Christ?
noticed every debate you've had in the past or so far that I've been watching has been purely semantic. It's been purely just
Can you
things
tell me
that aren't gonna.
can you tell me what semantic means?
So you basically, I mean, okay, the best way I can put this is you've been arguing in ways that aren't going to really get you anywhere.
Yeah, so that's not what semantic means. Semantic is the position
Sure.
of arguing definitions.
This is what I'm talking about.
Yeah, so yeah, the reason our semantics are important is so that we're on the same page and we're discussing the same thing. So for example, if you ever read a philosophical paper, the first like 3 or 4 pages is just semantics.
Sure.
Yeah.
So my question to you then is, if you were a true Christian, right? What is it that changes in your life? What are some examples of that changing your life?
Can you give a relevance to why is that relevant to the topic?
See, there's my thing. You want me to bring up legitimate arguments that have actual legitimate literature on them, and then you want to debate those arguments that are already a thing. I want to dig into you because it says convince me
I'm
to stop worship.
I'm not here to talk about like my individual personality.
But
so.
your thing says convince me to stop worshiping Jesus.
Yeah, so my position is if you can give me a rational perspective on why it's good to reject it, then I would reject it. That's my position.
But then maybe shouldn't
me.
it say convince everyone to not worship Jesus?
That's
because
me.
if I can't dig into
like
you
to think
personally,
here's me personally. I like to think, or I like to do my best, and sometimes I'm not perfect, to try to believe in as many true statements as possible and be as rational as possible. So if you can convince me of a true statement through rationality using deduction or induction, then I'm more likely to be convinced of your position. Go ahead.
So you want me to use logic and reasoning to convince you of something that is belief-based?
Do you have an argument?
I do, but it's hard to talk to you because you want me to convince you of something that's purely a belief-based thing with logic.
Yeah, so what do you mean by belief?
Well, there's an aspect of belief in Christianity, no?
What do you mean by belief? What does that word entail?
It entails that you believe in the things that you're worshiping, that you're following.
That's a tautology. What does it entail?
So, do you have 100% an absolute truth that Jesus is real?
100%? No, I don't have 100% almost everything.
Okay, so that's the belief factor that I'm talking about.
Okay, so then I also believe that I'm here talking to you. I'm not 100% certain of that.
Yes, of course, but then you want to just delve into reality? Like, that's not what we're discussing.
That's begging the question.
You just said, you're kind of saying that we believe in everything. Yes, of course, to a degree.
Okay, so then what do you
But
mean
I'm
by
asking
belief
you,
here?
There's an element of belief in what you do, correct?
There's
in what you have.
Yeah, based off your definition, there's an element of belief in literally everything. So what's the issue?
Right. So you're asking me to break down an argument that is partly based on belief.
Which
with
you said
just
is
logic.
everything. You said everything has a basis of belief. So therefore, everything that we conclude to be true uses arguments towards beliefs.
Yes, I understand what you're saying, but here's the thing. if you want me to try to convince you as a person,
you can't be a real person. There's no.
and now
way
you're having
that
a side conversation with yourself. This is what I'm saying. I'm trying to say that I can't convince you of something with just logic when it's belief based in a sense as well.
So then you're just you're literally saying that you can't convince anybody of anything everywhere because you conceded that everything has a little bit of belief base
here's
into
the
it.
thing. Here's the thing.
Hold on.
Everything.
Did you not concede that everything has some form of belief basis?
Why don't you share your denomination?
Can you answer that question?
Anyone else on this app doing this would share their denomination.
That's
Why don't
fine.
You?
That's fine. Can you answer that
Not
question?
a personal thing. Really doesn't matter.
Why are you running? Did you not concede that everything has some sort of belief basis to it?
I'm not running. I'm doing what you're doing.
You're
right?
literally
So
running.
the problem with
You're
you
running.
is that you're
You're
coming
running.
in here and you're
You're
forcing
running.
people to learn
You're running.
big words and
You're
literature
running.
that they didn't read, and that's your basis
running.
of argument. And
Just
that's
answer
the
the
problem.
question.
Convince me to stop worshiping
Answer
Jesus.
the
Well, I have to
question.
know a
Did
little
you
bit
not
about
say-
you as a person.
Last
If I don't know anything
chance,
about you, how can I convince
last
you?
chance, man. Let's see if we can have a good faith conversation. Did
Well,
you not say?
you can kick me if you want. I'm just trying to.
I got you. Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
35.
All right, man. Can you convince me to stop worshiping Jesus?
I think I can, actually.
Okay, go ahead.
So I guess my argument, or I don't call it an argument, but my thought while watching you is, you said it used to be atheist, right? Can I ask that without getting kicked out? And then I'm guessing from what people say in the comments, you started being Christian with 5.
Wow, I guess you can't. That's crazy. Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
I'm good. Just turned 19.
All right, man. Happy birthday. Can you convince me to stop worshiping Jesus?
I appreciate that. I hope so. I would hope so. I have two sort of arguments. One I think you'll get out of the way pretty quick just because of a belief thing, and one I think is a little more strong. The first one being, given the amount of different religions in the world, what makes you think truly that your whatever denomination you are, I don't really care. I don't think it's as important as everyone makes it out to be. But what makes you think that your Jesus is the true one and the only one that you should worship?
Okay. Is there real money out there?
What?
Is there real money out there? Like, is there money that's real?
I mean, I guess not. If you want to get,
you don't think that there's like a real United States dollar bill? Like that doesn't exist?
Oh, in that sense? Oh, yeah. Sure, like that. I mean, I thought, okay, sure.
Cool. Is there counterfeit money out there?
I would also think there probably is.
Okay. So the existence of counterfeit money doesn't negate the existence of the real money, right?
I would agree with you.
Cool. So if there's other religions out there that are counterfeit religions, it doesn't negate the reality of a real religion, right?
Ooh, sure. I understand that. That's a reasonable assumption to make, given that we know what the real money is. So the real money is backed by the government, which we all trust. I don't think that you necessarily give a reason to why that money, in this case, your religion, is the true real money. For all we know, it could also be the counterfeit money.
Sure. Yeah. The reason I would say is because of the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. I think that is our standard to say that, yep, this is a true religion and that we should follow it, because we have enough evidence to say that a rational person can hold the position that Jesus Christ died and resurrected off of the cross.
A rational person. Okay, that's interesting. Would you humor me with some of that evidence or not?
Yeah, I can give you the mechanisms and methodology. For us to go through all the evidence would be a few hours, but I can definitely point you in the right direction. The methodology that we'd use is called the historic reportage model. It looks at things like undesigned coincidences, automatic congruence, the testimony, the reliability of the scriptures. And basically what we're doing is we're applying the historical method to the Bible in the same way we'd apply it to any other event. We're just removing one biased perspective. The biased perspective, according to Paul Rhodes and Gregory Boyd, is called the principle of analogy. The principle of analogy presupposes a naturalistic worldview. It's dogmatic by nature and unscientific. So if we apply what's called the open historical method, and we simply are just open to the data and where it points, no matter how unlikely it is, then I think we conclude that the best, most parsimonious explanation for that event is that Jesus Christ actually resurrected, considering that we have no naturalistic hypothesis that explains all the data.
Interesting. Although I did hear in that sentence that you said that it is unlikely, but that's besides the point. I'm not going to convince you to stop believing in a faith-based thing. No, you said given that it is unlikely, but we still came to this conclusion. I think if you clip that back, you could probably listen. But that's besides the point. Anyway, my real thing that I think might give some fruit. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, if you remove all hypothesis, whatever remains, no matter how unlikely, is more likely to be true, right? So it's the old Sherlock Holmes saying, like, if you remove all possibilities, whatever remains, no matter how improbable, has to be true. So again, my explanation is the most parsimonious explanation concerning the data. There is no other explanation that encapsulates all the data.
Okay, that's it. I would love to see the data. I'll do that on my own time.
I can
Really
give you some books if you want it, and if you really want to dive into it.
Just you can message me after this.
I'm not
But
going to message
I
you.
think really, or don't. It's all good, bro. Really, my real point is, if you're Jesus, you're God, you kind of have, there's no distinction in your mind. Or he's a messenger. That's understandable. If he really is all loving, all powerful, all knowing, why, in my mind, it doesn't make sense why there are these natural disasters that kill so many people, displace so many people. Children die of cancer every day. If your God was truly all loving, all powerful, he would be able to stop this sort of stuff.
Okay, where do you get your
Also
standard
given
of all
is a-
loving and all powerful? Where does it come from?
Well, come on, bro. Are we really going to do this?
Yeah, you're bringing up a contention against the Christian worldview that debunks it. So
Okay.
therefore, you must have a
Well,
mechanism or a
I think
standard.
it's also hard for me to have a specific viewing of your Jesus because you don't really, put that out there as we've seen. So I'm kind of making assumptions. If you would want to give maybe your
People want to ask me
specifications on
my
how you.
denomination, right?
I'm not pressed about that.
Denomination pigeonholes me into a denomination perspective. If you want my perspective on a specific thing, ask me the perspective on this specific thing and give me the relevance.
Yeah, no, that's a very fair point. Honestly, I think you're completely correct in that. So I think, given the relevance of what I just asked, maybe could you give me your view on whether or not you believe that this Jesus God is all knowing, all powerful,
Yes,
and
he is
or
the
all
omni.
loving?
Yes, he is omnis.
Okay, so you would agree with the all loving, all powerful part, then, correct?
Again, yes, he is the omnis.
Okay. So then, could you answer my question to why he would let so many children die of cancer, let these natural disasters happen if he is all powerful and all knowing?
Well, yeah, sure. Why do I have to answer that question?
Because I feel like if you can't answer that question, that inherently puts a sense of doubt of his ability in your mind, therefore not making him the truly an omnipotent being that is all loving and all powerful. Because if he was all loving, he would stop that stuff. Let less people die.
Yeah, so can you make the argument that if he was all loving, he would stop all that stuff?
If I was all loving, I loved all people on the same level, 100% on this, arbitrary level.
And if you had wheels, you'd be a bicycle.
And I had the ability to save this person from getting murdered from another person. Because I am all loving, I would be able to do that.
Yeah, that's begging the question. If you had wheels, you'd be a bicycle. You're saying if I had God's power, I would do X. God doesn't do what I do, so therefore he doesn't exist. That's not an argument.
I think, well, given that you believe that he's a being with the same, and you believe, I would assume, I'll ask because I think you said it was important before. You believe that we're made in God's image.
So being the image bearers of God is to be the representatives of God.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what it means.
Okay.
So the image bearer.
Would you not
Hold on. Image bearer doesn't
Okay,
entail that we are just exactly like God in the way he behaves. There's the temple. The temple is the universe, and in temples there's an image of the being that you're worshiping, right? So if you go to a temple, you usually find the image of the being. God flexes on all these other beings in the universe. He creates the whole universe and says, "Okay, this is my image," and then he sends us as a representation.
So your answer to my point is that since you are not God, you are not able to answer that question on why he does or does not.
Never made any of those claims. I asked you the relevance.
Well, no, I gave you the relevance by saying that if you did believe that that there would be a hesitance for you to believe that he was truly omnipotent and all powerful. And then you responded by saying,
your argument,
if you're in,
your argument is I wouldn't do it, therefore God's not real. That is what your argument is.
No, that's not my argument. My argument was that because
Can you give me a different argument then?
You agreed with me, or not agreed. You said your point was that your belief was that he was all loving, all powerful, and omnipotent.
Yes, God has the omnipotence.
Well, those were the three things that I give. Yes, correct. If he truly was all loving, we're using loving in the sense that we know it as ourselves, as our society, the way we use it colloquially.
No,
honestly,
I don't agree with
how
that.
else would we understand that? Okay, then could you maybe give your definition of how you would believe he's all loving?
Yeah, just say all loving is to act selflessly, only for the sake of something else. That is the definition of loving. By simply God being the omnis, right, being all powerful, he cannot do anything for himself.
So he wants to. So that doesn't. So then that doesn't necessarily mean he does everything for everyone. Then
The only thing God ever does is for the sake of his creation. He cannot do something for himself in the entailment that he is all powerful. If God is all powerful, he has to be all
okay,
loving.
wait. If I could just interject real quick,
Mhm.
you said he couldn't do anything for himself, but then you also before said that Jesus was a part of him. It was an extension of him. I'm confused on
No,
how you
Jesus
would say
is
that he
God.
created Jesus if you can't do anything for. Yeah, I'm confused because
What?
Scripture says like or God created Jesus through Mary, virgin, right? And he created Jesus. If you said he can't do anything for himself, that kind of feels like he's doing
That's
something
not for himself,
to me,
that's
no?
for us. What are you talking about?
But he did it. I would beg to differ because you said he couldn't do anything for himself. It sounds
Yes,
like he definitely was doing something for himself.
It's entailed in the omni. If he is all powerful, does he need anything?
Do you want me to answer that?
Yes.
Okay, I would assume not.
Right. So therefore, anything he does is not going to be for him because he requires nothing.
Okay, sure.
Great.
That makes total sense. I think we're getting a little sidetracked, though. I think we're getting a little sidetracked. I think you would agree.
This is entailed. You brought up the problem of evil, and now you want to shift to like some sort of biblical internal contradiction. We can go there. That's fine, but we need to solve this problem
and
first.
honestly, I think I would recall that honestly, just so we can rather get back on.
So
the
then you
topic that I
concede
brought
the
up.
problem of evil?
I never said I conceded the problem.
Okay,
of
then
evil.
we're
I'm
not
saying I
moving
want
to a
get into the
different
scripture
topic.
stuff.
We're
I
not
want to get back to the
we're not
evil.
moving
That's
to a
what I'm
different
talking
topic.
about.
We're going to
I
focus
don't want
on
to
the
get into
problem.
the scripture.
So
Yes.
you say God is all powerful. By entailment, if he is all powerful, he must be all loving if there's creation. Because the only reason he would create is for the sake of the creation, because he requires nothing.
Incorrect. It was not a if and statement. It was a he is all loving and he is all powerful. It
You
was
already
not that,
agreed.
Given this, he is that and that.
You asked me if he was the omni properties.
He is.
You asked me if he had the omni properties. I said yes.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So the
But you
entailment
phrased
there
it
is
a
that
little
he is
differently there, so I was a little confused.
No, I didn't. Pay attention. Don't interrupt. Listen to what I'm saying. I'll walk through it. Okay. God has the omni properties. All loving, all powerful, all knowledgeable. That is the standard that we're setting. You say, I see things that I think are evil. Therefore, God cannot be these omni properties. The entailment is, if God is all powerful, anything he would do, this you asked me for my standard of what good is, anything he would do would have to be selfless. To be selfish means that he's doing it for him, which means he lacks something. Therefore, he's not all powerful. So the entailment here, if he is all powerful, it's an if then conditional. If God is powerful, is all powerful, then he is all loving. You can't have one without the other.
So in your opinion, if he is all powerful, then he is all loving. But you do think he is all powerful, so then you do think he is all loving.
Yeah, that's the logical consequence. If God is all powerful, then
I
he is all
understand
loving.
that logic. Okay.
Yes.
Thanks for I guess explaining that. But I think circling back to maybe how you can explain, because I find it hard that you don't have any doubt in his omnipotence or lovingness, for lack of a better term, given that he does let all these innocent people die. He does let all these children with cancer die, in your opinion.
But you why did I get it? You guys keep reporting me. I don't know why. So again, you haven't given me a reason why. You're just doing, it's called emotivism. You emotionally don't like it, so therefore it's false.
No. Don't get me wrong. I don't think that necessarily anything is bounded to moral relativism. I don't think that anything, it's all an emotional response. I definitely agree with that. I think we can agree if we were to have like a morals debate, that I think we'd find some common ground. But I would say that given that we're using loving in this colloquial sense, we're saying that he's a loving person in the way that we understand loving. Okay, I don't think we need to bounce around this sort of give me a definition of loving.
You asked me. I got to stop you there because now we went full circle. You asked me my definition of what loving is, and I said to completely be selfless for another being And that is entailed in the powerful aspects of God. Now, to why these events happen, yes, I have an explanation why. I have things that are satisfying
yes, that's
to
what
my...
I wanted at the start.
But I'm not going to give it to you because those are things that are satisfying to me. They may not be satisfying to you, right? I'm not interested.
No, I might find them very satisfying. I'm very
That's fine.
open-minded.
That's fine.
I'm
But
not...
I've done that with a million people, right? Some people find them satisfying. Some people don't find them satisfying, right? I don't care if you find it satisfying.
I don't care either, but I don't know why you wouldn't just tell me. I mean, it takes 10 seconds out of your day.
I'm explaining. It doesn't take 15 seconds. There's a whole book on it, right? On the there's books on it, papers on it.
You can cut anything down to a sentence, man. I would not judge for how you
finish.
Do it. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Right? These are not small topics that you just jump into and like, here's a quick one sentence thing that you're going to find satisfying. We have to go through a whole philosophical concepts to come to these conclusions. It's the defeater argument. If you really want to look it up, that's the reason that's what I hold to, is the defeater argument. There you go. Now, if you guys want to know, now you know what to look for. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you either are satisfied or dissatisfied by this defeater argument. That doesn't prove or disprove anything. That's your own individual emotional mental state.
No, that's understandable. But what I said was, is there any sort of doubt in your mind in his omnipotence, in his all-lovingness, in his powerfulness, given the fact that he does not do this stuff actively?
I can't even give that fact. How do I know that God is not interjecting and intervening in these certain scenarios?
No, I know, and that's a completely understandable thing to say. For all we know, that could definitely be a thing. But does that not still give you some amount of, if you have that hesitation for that side? I think
I do not see evil things in this world, and
I feel like that's a blind doubt, man. I feel like that's quite obviously a blind doubt.
Then
to
give me a
anyone with
reason.
any reason.
Give me a reason why.
Well, no, I just okay. I will repeat myself. I think if I say it more clearly, you might understand. Maybe I phrased it incorrectly. You were hesitant to think that maybe he is actually doing the best he can. Was kind of the idea you were trying to give off. For all you know, he could be doing everything in his power.
No, that's not what it's. You guys got to listen, man. You made a statement, and when I ask a question, like here's the thing people do. You guys make claims and you make statements, and then I ask for a clarification on how you know these claims are statements, and then you assume that I take the opposite perspective. I don't. I said I hold the defeater argument, which is not that.
Okay, so how did that go to anything I just said?
Because you said I hold to the perspective that it's possible. You said I hold to the perspective that it's possible that God is interjecting with these unnecessary evils. I didn't say that.
You said no. You definitely did. You agreed with me. You said,
I didn't. I asked, how do you know?
Oh no. Okay. Do you? Fine. I'll ask it in the form of a question. Do you think that he is injecting in some way? I mean, you always ask like, "Oh, if you want to know, then ask me a question." I'm giving you the question. No. It's hard to form a basis of an argument without you.
I think there are unnecessary evils.
Does that give you an amount of hesitation in your...
No, can you give an argument, man? Like, just what's your argument, please?
So, dog. Okay, whatever. I'll move on, dude. Okay, I think you are a moral relativist, right? I believe we kind of, I don't want to put a brand on you.
I'm a moral realist.
Anything. Moral realist. Okay, that's okay. Interesting. Well, then I do want to bring up some of the scripture that does, highlight to, allowing for slavery. I think that if you are a moral realist, I think that should be an important thing to touch on, dude. And I'm sure that you get this a lot, and I'm sure you get this a lot, but bro, I think you good, bro?
You went full circle right to the beginning of the conversation.
Well, I mean, you clearly wanted to end that sort of topic, right? I felt like that was a clear end for you.
An argument.
So
you can point to a million and one things that you
I wanted to see if you had anything to talk about.
Right.
You gave a very clear.
I gave a standard of why I think God is good. Can you give me a standard of goodness and all lovingness to point at these things and say they're wrong?
I cannot give you the same omnipotent goodness
Hear
or
Joel
standard
say it.
that you would
How
give
are
to
they
Jesus
all the
because I
same?
am just
Okay, cool. So
myself.
you can't do it. So then when you point at things like slavery
No,
and
I
let
can't
me
do it.
you just said you can't.
Okay.
Let me finish. So
Okay,
then
no,
when you,
no, yes,
let me
finish.
finish. Yeah, yeah. So then when you point at things in the slavery, right? We again full circle, you're just saying I don't like it, therefore God not real.
That's why I brought up the moral relativism of the thing. You said you're a moral realist, so I was going to get your opinion
Moral
on. I don't
realism
think I
does
need to
not
get.
mean that
Okay,
you intuitively are going to have the standards of all moral truths.
I never said anything about that. If you let me finish, I would have gotten to my point. If that's okay.
Right. So you're going to point at something in
Okay,
the scripture that you
so
don't
if I
like,
can
and you're going to
interrupt you,
say it's wrong.
I would appreciate if you didn't interrupt me as
Okay,
well.
well, fine. I'm going to let you make your argument. But if all you do is point at an event that you think is wrong and say, I don't like it, I'm going to boot
It's
you. And I
going
think
to
that's
involve
fair.
asking you.
That's fine. But do you
It's gonna
think
involve
that's
asking
fair?
you a
Do you
question.
think that's fair?
I'm a little confused as to what circle we're talking about. I'm just trying to present a new argument. But if you
That's
see
fine.
so,
I'm going to let
then
you
it's
give your
understandable.
argument. I'm going to let you give your argument, but I want you to be clear about this. If all you do is point at an event and say, I don't like this, I think it's evil, I'm going to boot you. Is that fair?
Oh, sure.
Great. Okay, make your argument.
Okay, so what I was going to do was, of course, I felt like it go without saying, but I was going to ask you the question of course, is slavery, a moral, it's not a morally good thing. I think you would agree with that.
I think slavery can be good.
May I inquire on
Prison systems.
the
Now make the
terms?
argument.
Okay. Sorry, I just wanted to make that clear before that got clipped or something. But my argument would be if you believe
How is that a
that
racist thing that I said? Somebody's saying it. The people are saying I'm racist.
I think you guys shouldn't be so quick to judge. Just let him hear me. But I would say if you do, like you said, you believe that slavery, at least the racial kind, is definitely bad, and in the scripture it does point out. Damn, that's a lot of money, dog. As you put, and in the scripture, it does point out specific ways as to hold slaves, as to treat your slaves. It also specifically points out that you must keep women slaves for their entire lives. Given that you believe that this is morally reprehensible, this is not a morally good thing, and that your God directly in the Bible allows for it, does that not give you any sort of hesitance to his not only, I guess, moral standards, but also to which how much you can trust him, given that his moral standards allow for slavery?
No.
That's just the answer.
Well, that's what you asked.
No.
You
Yeah, I'm
asked
cool
about
with that.
my
I mean,
individual
I'm cool
mental
with that. I'm
state.
chill with that.
Yeah, you asked about my
No,
individual mental state.
with your individual mental state. So it doesn't give you any hesitance in your mind that he. I could point out certain points, but it's not worth our time. I think we both know him. But that doesn't give you any hesitance to.
Okay, let me help you. God killed a guy for picking up sticks on the Sabbath. Do I like that? No. Does it make me question his existence? No.
It does no. Does it make you question his omnipotence?
How would it? He's the one who killed him.
His judgment, his ability to do things, his ability to have reason, have morality.
Provide an argument, bro. I don't like it. That's
slavery,
motivism.
as
You're
you
literally
just, said,
just
is not
pointing
a
at.
morally good thing.
Okay,
You
so
agreed that
listen.
it was not a morally good thing. If you believe it, your God doesn't believe it.
I said there are
How can you be on the same plane of worshiping?
There are
him?
scenarios.
Doesn't make a lot of sense.
That's you're straw manning me, right? And I should kick you because you're just pointing at something.
That's
like
just
I said,
not what a straw man is, bro.
A straw. Yeah, you said you straw man. You said that I said that slavery is morally what is the word? Imprehensible or whatever it was. I didn't say that. So that's a straw man. Hello?
Implied it. You specifically.
It's implied. It's implied. You're straw manning me because that's not my perspective.
Because
what my perspective, my perspective, you little shit. My perspective.
I can and ask
my
if you want to
perspective
choose
is.
that or
I said,
good.
did I not say that sometimes it's a good thing?
No, you said sometimes it's a good thing. Then you specifically specified only in prison.
You asked for an example.
Only in
That
prison
isn't. I didn't say only in prisons. Now you're straw manning me. God bless. Mm-hmm.
Oh, super chats.
Yes, thank you. I did not say only, and if I did, it was a slip. I gave an example of prison systems.
You did not.
No. But he who adds, may him be accursed. I want a taco. Give me a beef taco.
Oh.
You could have used the money you sent for me to buy a taco. Let's make families great again. Amen. Amen. You could start at 0. We'll still get there. No, well, you can't. If you start at 0, 0 is absolutely, it cannot happen in no possible world. John's denomination is the best denomination. That's true. That's true. Love your content. I hope that people will come to know Jesus Christ through breaking down the walls of willful ignorance with his power. I hope so too, man. I hope so too. Here, John, I'll say it. How are they all this stupid? I don't think they're stupid. I think it's really bad faith and disingenuous. I just had to catch up at the full circle moment. Fair enough. For your pain, John, I appreciate you. Appreciate you holding this down. John, you a big stinky meanie. Why can't you let these intellectuals make claims without needing to justify them like everyone else does nowadays? True. You know, they all scream that Christians need to justify their beliefs, but then when you ask them to justify theirs, then you're just playing semantics and word games. I do. Okay, so let's be clear so everyone understands in the chat. I think taking specific people all because of the color of their skin, and that's the only reason, and making them slaves is a morally wrong thing, and we ought not do it. And if somebody does do it, we should fight against it. That is my position. You also know who is the first person in history to ever actually fight against that position. The very first and earliest recorded document that we have that was anti-slavery was from the Pope Gregory, I believe it was. It was in the 1800s that says that we should not take First Nations peoples as slaves. That's the very first documented. Everything before that was like everybody who wrote it down was just pro-slavery, and that was just part of their culture. Be very difficult for me to vote for Donald Trump in Canada.
Go.
Hello, how are
Let's
you?
go.
Hello, how are you?
Hello.
Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
I'm amazing. I'm 27. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. Can you convince me to stop worshiping Jesus?
Yeah, good afternoon. So I don't think I can convince you of anything because it's your free will to make your decisions as a reasonable person, but I can give you my reasons why I don't. Is my mic on?
Yeah, your mic's on. I'm just curious why the topic is convince me to stop worshiping Jesus, and your opening sentence is I can't do that. Then you can see the debate. I won.
I think I could, and that's why I requested. I just want this to be a productive conversation that hopefully sets an example for other people that people can have different beliefs and still respect each other. So I'll give you my first argument. It's unnecessary. You don't have to worship Jesus.
I don't have to drink water. Like, what's your point?
My point is that I find it unnecessary and obsolete. I come from a Christian background too. I've been atheist. I've come back to Christianity, and I don't like to label myself, but I would like to say that I may be a Gnostic Christian. I see why people worship Jesus, but I just find it redundant and meaningless. I feel like everything you get from Jesus, you could get from yourself. What do you have to say to that?
You didn't make any argument.
My argument is it's redundant. You don't need to do it.
It's a conclusion.
Okay. Yeah, I'm relaxing. I just don't understand why you feel the need to convince other people of your beliefs if you're so secure.
Dude, it's literally in the tab.
I just want to go on record here for everybody who's been watching today. The vast majority of conversations that have come up have been specifically to attack my character. And I might have a garbage character. Sure, that's fine. But you guys are all the guys that scream till you're blue in the face that you shouldn't believe in Christianity because there's no justifiable reason or a rational reason to hold that position, that you shouldn't hold it. And then when I sit here and ask for validations or justifications or reasons to hold certain positions, I never get it. I never get it. I never actually get like, hey, this is my justification for these positions. So I just want to go on record that not all of you, I can't say I haven't spoken to every one of you, but a lot of you guys are hypocrites. You hold specific worldviews. You do not justify your specific worldviews. You just say it is because it is. And then you scream and point at Christians because they don't have a justification for their worldview. Rogue Ronin. Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
I am 34.
All right, man. Can you convince me to stop worshiping Jesus?
So the Old Testament and the New Testament is based off of the Old Testament, which was written in Hebrew, correct?
No, the Old Testament or the New Testament is not based off the Old Testament. No.
Well, I'm saying it is because the Old Testament points to God's Son dying for our sins, correct?
Well, people would argue that. I would say yes, there are Old Testament prophecy that point to the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ, specifically in Daniel 9, but that does not entail that the New Testament was written as a sequel to the Old Testament. That's not the case.
I'm not talking about like a sequel. I'm talking what languages was the New Testament written in?
The New Testament was written in Koine Greek. There is some argumentation that Matthew was originally written in Hebrew, but we don't have any autographs of that to know that.
Okay. So the languages Jesus spoke there were multiple languages, correct?
He most likely spoke Aramaic because of the location he was in, and he also most likely spoke Greek, seeing as how he was a rabbi, and the Septuagint was a Greek document that existed, and he lived in a Hellenized community.
I believe he also knew Hebrew as well.
Yeah, you probably know Hebrew being a Jew, sure.
Right. So when we go back to the Old Testament and we try to find God's name, the Jews started taking God's name out like it was Yahweh or Yahuwah, Yod-He, Uah-He. And and then when we go to Jesus, his crucifixion, they wrote down 3 names on a stone, and it was in Aramaic, Greek, and Hebrew. His Hebrew name is Yahusha. And so when we pray to Jesus, J wasn't a letter in any alphabet up into.
Bond Rude. Hello, how are you? And just real quick, how old are you?
Hello, I'm good. I'm 27.
All right, man. Can you convince me to stop worshiping Jesus?
Sure. What are the reasons you have for believing in God and worshiping Jesus?
Yeah. So the death and resurrection.
Is that it?
Yeah. If Jesus Christ died and resurrected and did the miracles that he did, and if I offer the principle of charity, I'd say I have a justifiable reason to believe he is who he says he is.
Well, just because he resurrected doesn't mean that everything he was saying was true, right? Like he could have resurrected and also been lying.
Yep, but that doesn't offer the principle of charity.
What is the principle of charity?
The principle of charity is that you look at information and you assume that somebody is trying to be honest and truthful until you have data to say otherwise. That is something that's applied into the historical method.
So
you basically believe everything people say,
No.
even if it sounds improbable.
No.
So what do you mean until you have reason to believe they're not being honest? Or
So you see,
like
you need some sort of justification to say that this event is not likely to happen. So just simply saying, if we had one person who just claimed that somebody died and resurrected, well, that's so improbable that we shouldn't just take it off a single testimony. I wouldn't say that's rational. But when we have an abundance that surpasses the amount of evidence that is required in normal things for the historical method, then we have what you would call extraordinary evidence. Most people say extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Well, the historical method for the resurrection of Jesus Christ, we have extraordinary evidence. So I say, when we apply the principle of charity, unless I have good reason, valid reasons to say, hey, these authors are trying to be disingenuous and dishonest, I should trust them. I should trust what they're saying, right? Especially considering things like the undesigned coincidence, automatic congruence, things that you would expect to see if they're trying to record honest and truthful information. Now, is it logically possible that Jesus was some sort of alien trying to trick us? Sure, but I have zero reason or zero data to say that that's true.
So you think it's more likely? It's not more likely that people lied, that something that we believe is scientifically impossible happened?
We don't say anything is scientifically impossible. That's not even the scientific method. If you say it's scientifically impossible, you're not doing science.
Well, to the best of our knowledge, I don't mean we know 100%, but like imagine you're in a courtroom proving a crime, and you see someone go into a building, and then someone else comes out of the building with a bag, and then the person that came in before was never found out again.
Yeah, the vast majority of cases in court are solved through testimony.
Right, but okay, let's look at my example. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
someone, like, let's say a girl goes into a house,
Mm-hmm.
and then a man comes out of the house holding a bag and throws it in the river or whatever, and then the girl was never seen again.
Mm.
And let's say the guy says, "Oh, but the girl teleported. She teleported out of my house. I didn't do anything to her."
Mm.
Do you think people would believe him?
Probably not.
Why not?
It just doesn't seem like it adds up to the information and what we know in our background knowledge.
Why not? It perfectly explains why the girl wasn't seen coming out of the house. She could have teleported, right? So
yeah, but in our background knowledge, when those specific events happen, usually somebody's hiding a body and being disingenuous. So remember what I said to you originally, if all we had was a singular testimony that Jesus Christ resurrected, it'd probably be irrational to hold to that. Remember I said that?
What if
it's crazy.
Yeah, what if there were 10 people inside that same building and they all said the girl teleported?
Yeah, we'd have to look at the investigation. So one of the things that we could do in that scenario is we go look at the river. One thing we couldn't do is we couldn't convict them of murder if we had no body.
Okay, let's say the body got lost, or whatever he threw in the river got lost. It can't be found anymore. So
yeah,
do you
we
think
can't
that
convict them of murder.
Right. So do you think that in that case you would believe him then that the girl teleported?
We don't know that specific scenario. Intuitively, I wouldn't, but I have to investigate the testimony.
All 10 people in the building say the girl teleported. That's their testimony.
We would have to investigate the testimony. Just people saying it doesn't make it true.
What do you mean investigate the testimony?
We look at the testimony. So for example, what I used for one of the things in the Gospels is the undesigned coincidences. Things you would expect to see if people are trying to give honest and truthful information. So we'd see, like, between the 4 Gospels, we see differing stories that don't line up 100%. But within those stories, there's small little coincidences that people don't usually put in if they're being dishonest or lying. That's something you'd only expect to see if somebody's trying to record honest and truthful information. So using things like undesigned coincidences, coined again by Lydia McGrew. If you guys want to know more about that, Mirror and the Mask is a good book to start. Using something like undesigned coincidences, we could say the probability of these authors trying to record honest and truthful information is very, very high.
What kind of coincidences? Can you give an example?
So one of the popular ones is that in the Gospel of John, earlier in the Gospel, in a context that has nothing to do with the feeding of the 5,000, we find out that Philip is near Bethsaida. Right, that's a town that he is from. Philip is not a primary character throughout the Gospels. He's never mentioned. He doesn't have any major stories. He's only mentioned like 3 or 4 times. And one of the listings of him is just him being one of the 12 disciples. He doesn't do anything significant. So Gospel of John says that he is from Bethsaida. And that's it. And then later in the Gospel of John, Jesus asks him when they're doing the feeding of the 5,000, right? Where can we get fish and bread for these people? And that's it. That's all we have from that. Well, we don't get a full explanation from that until we go into Luke. Luke says that the feeding of the 5,000 took place near Bethsaida. Now, these documents are not something that's circling around together. These documents are circling around to different communities. So Luke is being sent to different communities. John's being sent to different communities. Luke exists well before John. So we have a small little coincidence where John explains Luke and then Luke explains John. Now, you could explain away a single one of those, but if we start doing like 50, 60 of those, right? And I have about 30 of them written down. I haven't gone through all of them. So we start doing 50 or 60 of those. Small little coincidences are true. Another one would be like John, when he's recording the feeding of the 5,000, lines up with Luke where that says that it's in Bethsaida. But then that also lines up with what Josephus was saying at the time, which says that that was a very common road that was used for the Passover event. Right? Because it says in John, there is many coming and many going, for it was Passover. But then we have recorded in Josephus, which comes hundreds of years later, not a Christian source, not hundreds of years later, decades later, sorry, not a Christian source, says that that when people were traveling, they were traveling on this specific road, and that specific road was near Bethsaida. These are small little events you wouldn't expect people to get right unless you could put them there, and they were trying to record honest and truthful information.
Yeah, but just because they were truthful about some things doesn't mean they were truthful about everything. Like, back to my example, like imagine all the guest says the apartment had like white walls and there was a mirror and the girl was like talking in the phone before she got teleported, and they all agree in that. That could all be true, but then they could also be lying about the girl teleporting.
Right. So if we examine the testimony of these people and we separate them all in different rooms and we ask them questions and we find that their stories are slightly different, but then they get these small coincidences correct, and there's 12 of them, and we have no other explanation, we have no naturalistic explanation for the data, then we'd have to conclude that the woman teleported.
But that it's not the case that there is no naturalistic explanation. It's just that
okay, phenomenal, great. So if there is a natural hypothesis that explains all the data, please give it to me, because my position is that there is no natural hypothesis that explains all the data, all of it. I gave you one small little example, right? There's a ridiculous amount, and I mean a ridiculous. So when people are like, "Hey, give me the evidence," I don't think they understand how much there is. So if you have a natural hypothesis that explains all of it, I'm more than happy to hear it. And if it's a good hypothesis, I will give you the taco.
It could be that some people hallucinated, other people were mistaken, other people were saying things that they
could be's are not hypotheses that go through data.
Well, how does that not explain the data?
Because you're saying it could be this. It could be. Show me how it could be those things.
That's what a hypothesis is. It's like.
No, hypothesis
I don't have all the
hypothesis has to have it has to have parsimony. Parsimony is explanatory scope and explanatory power, right? Somebody hallucinating doesn't have explanatory scope, like, because there's no such thing as group hallucinations. That doesn't happen, especially for 40 days and 40 nights.
I don't think the group experiences happened. I think some people individually hallucinated and then maybe had.
But we have 21 individual eyewitness accounts. So you'd have to say it's a group hallucination. And you'd have to say that it was for 40 days and 40 nights and they all hallucinated sitting and talking with them and eating with them and touching them, that they all hallucinated these things. And then they all agreed on the hallucinations. That's why that data doesn't, and there's no scholar that holds that, right? So Bart Ehrman has gone on record that he doesn't think that that's true, that they hallucinated. Bart Ehrman and most scholars say that the apostles genuinely believe that Jesus Christ rose from the dead. They leave it to mystery because they don't have an explanation. So there's a great rhetorical goal here, right? Bart Ehrman had a debate with William Lane Craig. And in that debate, Bart Ehrman stands up and gives a whole speech about Jesus having a twin brother. And he said, that's an explanation. That's a hypothesis that we could say that Jesus had a twin brother. Then he sits down at the end of the conversation and he says, is there any data or any reason or any whys to think that Jesus had a twin brother? He says, no, I do not think that happened. I don't think Jesus had a twin brother, but I think it's more likely than God did it.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm not familiar with all the historical facts, so I would need to look at each one to really give you a detailed hypothesis of how this could be explained naturally. But I know that most historians don't believe it happens supernaturally. So
Why?
I know there are
Why?
accounts like that.
Why? Can you tell me why they don't hold to it?
You'd have to ask them, but
I know why. I have. I've read it. I know why. The reason they won't hold to it is because of this thing and the historical mechanism made by Troshnikov. I can never say his last name right. He's the one who implemented it. It's called the principle of analogy. Principle of analogy says that if I experience something today, I can apply it to history. If I don't experience today, I can't apply it to history, right? Which I think is unscientific and problematic, because then we, by definition, if we hold to that standard, I could have 1,000,005,000 documentations from contemporary witnesses in the past, and I would have to reject it. I'd have to.
I don't believe most historians are illogical like that.
That is the reason. It's something that's in the historical method that says you cannot hold to it in the past, no matter how much evidence, because it defies the principle of analogy. I agree with you. I think it's an illogical and stupid thing to hold, but that is the reason.
I'm not a historian, so I cannot challenge you on this, but I highly doubt that more historians are just illogical.
I don't care what you doubt. I can give you the site and quotation for it.
Okay, but I have a further point. Like, even if you believe that Jesus resurrected, that does not prove that God exists. He could have resurrected, and maybe aliens did it to play a prank, or maybe it was magic.
Dog. Well, I would love if people listen to me. I actually brought up that alien point towards the beginning of our conversation. Do you remember what I said? What did I say?
I don't remember exactly what you said.
Right, so people don't listen, man. So I already said, is it logically possible that aliens did it? Sure, that's a logical possibility. Do I have any evidence or data to believe that aliens did it? No. None. You're simply throwing aliens out there because you don't know what to do with the data that we have.
No, I'm not saying it was aliens. I'm saying it is a possibility. So,
yes,
do you think you have good enough reason to believe that if he resurrected,
is it possible? Yeah. So the reason I could say that most likely isn't aliens is because of the Drake equation. The Drake equation makes it highly unlikely that aliens would come to us and just pull some practical joke.
Okay, but aliens is just one hypothesis. My greater question is like,
so is it possible? Is it possible that you're a brain in the vat right now? We're not even having this conversation.
Yes.
Okay, prove to me you're not.
Yes. I can't. You can't.
Okay, so until you prove to me you're not, I'm just going to assume you're a brain in the vat.
I was not saying you have to assume it was aliens. I'm just saying, how do you know that because Jesus resurrected, that means God exists? It doesn't logically follow that because he resurrected, God exists, right?
So if Jesus walks around, shows that he has authority over the earth, over nature, over humanity, over life and death itself, and while simultaneously claims to be the Messiah figure that lines up with Old Testament prophecy, while simultaneously claiming to be God himself, and then showing evidence of that and performing it in front of people and saying it is so, and taking prayer and operating in heaven and people seeing him in heaven, and he opening up the clouds as people pray to him and die, and then seeing and witnessing it. You don't accept those claims, which is why we have to go back to the original historical portage model. You just want to say, even if you're granting me my worldview. So if you're granting
I'm just granting you that he resurrected. No, not everything. Not that he went to heaven and did things in heaven. Let's just say that the facts support that he resurrected. I'm not granting you anything else.
The same data that says he resurrected is the same data that says he did all the same miracles. So if you're going to grant the resurrection, you have to grant the miracles.
There's no data that says he was in heaven.
Now you're going full circle. If it's the same data that says he did the miracles is the same data that says he resurrected. If you're going to grant the resurrection, then you have to grant the miracles. If not, you're special pleading.
No, just because some book has some real historical fact doesn't mean everything is historical. Like there are.
I agree. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there's you said, I'm granting you the resurrection. There's enough data to grant that. From my internal critique, the same amount of data that says he resurrected is the same amount of data that says he performed these miracles. For you to be consistent, you have to say if one is true, the other is true. If not, you are special pleading.
Yes, but you also mentioned that he went to heaven and did things in heaven. We don't have data for that.
It's the same amount of data that says he resurrected.
No, there are no witness testimony of Jesus in heaven.
Yes, there is. In the book of Acts.
People that were in heaven?
No, from people who were dying and looking up and through the prayer, seen him and witnessed him.
Can people look into heaven?
From that perspective, yes. But let's remove the heaven part. Just that you want to hyper focus on it. Let's remove the heaven part. All the other miracles he did, right? He shows that he has authority over the world, over nature, over life and death, over humanity, claims to be God, claims to be the Messiah, fill these things in the Old Testament prophecy. If I offer the principle of charity, why shouldn't I believe him when he says he is who he says he is?
I think he just could be lying. Like he could be, I don't know, a magician or whatever.
Okay, so you know what? Let's do that now. Everything that anybody ever brings to you, just disregard it because it could be lying. Even though you have no reason to believe it, no reason to think it's true. It just could be the case. I don't believe in evolution anymore because I think, you know what? All the scientists could just be lying about their peer review papers. They all got together and it's possible they just could be lying. I reject that. I reject the Holocaust because it could just be lying about it. That's a logical possibility. So now I reject it. Do I have any reason or valid reason to think that people made it up or lying about it? Nah, I don't, but they could be lying. So I'm going to reject it.
I'm not saying you have to reject it just because they could be lying.
That's literally what you said about Jesus. I said we have all this data to believe that he's telling the truth. Give me a reason to think that I reason to reject it. And you said because he could be lying.
Well, you also need to have reasons to believe he's telling the truth. Like when someone makes a grand claim, I think you need a lot of reason to believe them. It's not just you can just take them at face value.
Do humans have authority over life and death?
No, I don't believe that.
No, it's the one thing we can't conquer. If we did, we'd all be immortal. Jesus comes, shows us he has authority over life and death with but a thought. And then he says, let me finish. Then he says, I am God. And you say, I shouldn't take him on face value?
Yes, he could just okay. How did he show us he has authority over life?
Oh my God! Answer the question. Answer the question.
No, that's not enough.
It's not enough. Somebody who has authority over everything on earth. He can stop the wind. He can move mountains. He has authority over life, death. He can bring people back to the dead with just a thought. He can put his own life down and raise it up again. He could do all these things with ease, walking around like nothing happened with holes in his feet and holes in his hands. And that's not enough for you to say, yeah, he is who he says he is?
Yes, if all of that is true, yes, but I haven't granted all of that. I only granted that he resurrected.
If you grant the resurrection, you grant those other things because it's the same evidence.
I don't believe that's true.
You're giving an eternal critique. The evidence that I gave for the death and resurrection is the same for the other miracles. The exact same. If you're going to accept one and reject the other, you're special pleading, which is fallacious.
No, there's not the same amount of evidence for the resurrection as there is for any specific miracle.
Yes, there is. Because the sources are the same. All I use to convince you of the resurrection is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and Acts. Nothing else. That's the only thing that I used. That was my data. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and Acts also record the miracle events. If you accept one and deny the other, you need to give me a reason outside just because.
Just because it comes from the same source, it doesn't mean there's the same amount.
So just because, your answer is just because. You literally said just because.
I said that the amount of evidence is not the same. You said it comes from the same source. I agree, it comes from the same source.
If we can, why did I say those sources were good? Because they're trying to record honest and truthful information that we have no evidence and there's good corroborating stories, and then it's the best most parsimonious explanation. That also includes for the other miracles. You're just saying because it logically could be, I couldn't accept it. Can you give me an actual reason outside of because, bro?
Okay. Do you know there's like several historical documents about, let's say, Alexander the Great that also include supernatural claims about him like being divine or something, right? Just because like a historical document includes some historical facts about him doesn't mean everything that historical document says about him is true. Like you have to look at the evidence separately. You can't just say it comes from the same source, therefore it's all true or it's all false.
We have one document of Julius Caesar saying that when he died, there was 2 witnesses saw him burst into flames and raise up to heaven, and that's it.
Yeah, that was just one example. Like there are a lot of.
So is that
historical documents
comparable? Now answer the question. Can you give me a justifiable reason why if Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John and Acts is enough to conclude that the resurrection did happen, that it's not enough to include the other miraculous events?
Yes, the amount of evidence is different. It doesn't matter that the sources are the same.
He's been voted off the island, baby.
Oh my God, these people are so fucking stupid. It's the exact same amount of evidence, the exact same sources, the exact same reason we would come to the conclusions, and all he kept saying was "nah." No, it's break time. I'm done. I'm not taking any more guests. I'm done. You're all retarded. Every single one of you. There's no way. There's no way.
I believe all of your suffering is for a purpose, John.
I hope so. Oh my goodness. Is she sewing? No, she's cross stitching. Are you? I thought you've done your cross stitch.
I am. I started a new one.
You should show people the cross stitch you finished.
It's in the drawer.
Okay. Okay. She finished her cross stitch, guys. You want to see? Be nice. This is my wife cross stitch. Look.
Look at the cows.
She did a good job.
Now I started a new one.
I'm going to get it framed and I'm going to put it above the light. Yeah.
No, that's silly.
Why?
Because
Why?
it doesn't match.
I want it there. I want it there. She doesn't sell them. No. No, it's just something for her. Oh my goodness.
That was a rough day.
That was a rough day. That was bad. I apologize for calling all of you retarded, but come on, guys, give me a break. Like, that is insane. That is insane. Like, it was very dishonest, very disingenuous. What are you working on now? People want to know.
It's gonna be the Hobbit hole, but it's like just started, so there's nothing to see.
Yeah, nothing to see. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, guys. That's it for today. If you want more of this, I guess follow. I don't know why you would. But yeah, follow, smash the like button, share live. If you want to support the channel, you could do so through Patreon. You could do so through the GoFundMe, which goes back into the channel. We're trying to get an editor. We're trying to build a website. There's a lot of things that we're trying to do. Although I might have to take a different path. This is insane. I can't do this anymore. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out as it goes. Thank you to everybody who is supporting. Let's do a quick prayer and then we'll do our hangout and then we'll get out of here. Our Father who's in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread and forgive us of our debts as we also forgive our debtors, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Lord, you are good. We are not. I am not. I ask that you do works outside of just the things that we do, that you plant the seeds that need to get planted and you draw people into your kingdom, that you show people the love that you can offer, because we're imperfect beings and sometimes we fail at that. Forgive us of our sins. Forgive me of my sins. Walk with us. Be present with us. Give us grace. Never turn your face from us. If we're wrong, correct us. Put us back on the right path and make sure that we're operating in a way that's good and edifying in your eyes so that you could think that we are good servants. Give us opportunities to share the gospel and be more Christ-like. And if those that come against us are wrong, Lord, help us, help them understand. You are good. We are not. In Jesus' name, amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Oh my goodness. Decompress. Decompress. Do I beat my wife? We'll classify that. We both train martial arts together and we spar. Does that count? According to Abby, it feels like a beating.
Very frustrating.
Yeah. All right, folks, everybody that's watching on TikTok, I'm going to hang out on YouTube for about 5-10 more minutes. So if you have any questions or anything you want to say, come on over there. If not, I will see you guys again on Friday. And please pray for Friday that we get some better conversationists, better people who want to navigate and have a conversation and actually walk through it. God bless. Have yourself a great day. I was planning to do a live a little longer, but I couldn't do it anymore. I was planning today because we started a little later. I was planning to go a little later, but I can't do another one of those conversations, man. People left, right, and blue in the face. Give me justifications, give me a reason. Okay, here's the reason and justifications of why I believe, and they're like, nah, that's 90% of what happened today. Nah, I'm not convinced. Great. So why do you believe what you believe? Stop playing word games with me. That's what happened today. Tell me I'm wrong. Every single person is like, okay, why do you believe what you believe? Okay, here's a reason why I believe what I believe. Okay, can you give me a reason why I should reject it or why you believe what you believe? Stop playing word games and running around in circles.
Yeah, it was bad.
And a bunch of tone policing, absolutely.
It was bad.
Thoughts on Eastern Orthodox? They're great. They're great. That was some great apologetics. Thank you. Appreciate you. Oh, hold on. I got to disconnect the TikTok. We're getting someone else's TikTok chat in our thing.
Oh, no.
That happens sometimes. Because I'll leave the TikTok app and then the thing that I have connected scrolls on to the next person, whoever it is, and then I get their chat in, which happens. You shouldn't try to be convinced of something you believe. What?
I think that they meant the opposite.
Thank you. Appreciate you. We can only hope. We can only hope. We can only hope. I have no idea what the last guy was. John, all you have to do is multiply bread on camera. No need to do all this talking. You can do that? Oh, yeah, I got you.
And you can ignore that person.
I'll multiply it on camera. If I did, people would just say, oh, he's performing a magic trick. Thank you. That makes me feel better. John's minor crash outs are valid. I honestly would be cursing way more than he does. I'm getting better. It takes a lot to push me to that point where it's just like, my goodness gracious.
I held it in.
Seriously, how did I learn all this? Reading, man. You got to read. I read a lot. A lot
of practice.
And here's something that I've learned while reading. The amount of things that people are convinced of with very, very little data is insane. Conclusions that people come to about vast majority of things in the world, you think you have this astronomical amount of data. You don't. It's actually very, very small for the vast majority of things. But we just assume it. We just have these conclusions, these presuppositions that it's just so evidentially true, no one could doubt it. One of the things that we knew for certain, that we had an astronomical amount of data for, was the growth and expansion of the universe and what we'd expect to see when we look back. All the data showed us that if we look back towards the center of the universe, we would see smaller galaxies. And then when we actually went and did it, what did we see? We saw bigger galaxies, and we still don't know why. We have zero conclusion why that would happen. But I tell you, there was a point in time where people were so certain, they would argue at Christians till they're blue in the face, that the universe is eternal. And then Catholics came out and found the answer, that the universe had a beginning. And now they're doing the opposite. They're screaming blue in the face, Christianity can't be true because we know about the Big Bang Theory. John, maybe take a day just for any people to come ask questions, not convince or debate, something wholesome for a day. Yeah, I agree. But the problem is when we do that, then there are people who are disingenuous and try to come up under the assumption, and this happens all the time, and I get really mad when this happens. When people come up under the assumption that they're like, oh, I'm just going to ask questions. They're not trying to ask questions. They're actually trying to argue with you, and they're trying to prove to you that your religion is stupid under the guise of asking questions. If you need a break, you can put me in, coach. I don't know. I don't know what your qualifications are. Do a debate with former atheists. What? Hold on, I lost it. Where'd it go? He wants money. Yes. Yeah, I do want money. You don't? Do you not want money? If somebody came and offered you money, you'd say, no, thanks. I don't want any money. Mm-hmm. So for those that are curious, for those that genuinely have a curiosity about it, the defeater argument, what the book that you want to read is, what is it called? It's called the Darwinian Problem of Evil, I think it is. And so the defeater argument is God allows for certain conditions for the world to exist in that could allow for certain possible evils. And at the end, he's justified for allowing it because he will defeat it all. He will destroy it all. And he will bring everything to a unification, which is by definition justice. To be just is to make what is wrong right. So this makes God just. Now, here's the thing. That argument is satisfying for me. There's a lot of people that's not going to be satisfying for. They're going to say, oh yeah, well, he could have just done it where we live in some sort of Teletubbies world. And then we get into the problem, well, I don't think that's a better world. And you're going to say, I do think it's a better world. And then it ends up becoming this like stalemate, this non sequitur. It doesn't go anywhere. It really doesn't. If you guys want more specifically on the problem, like if you actually want to debate the problem of evil, I highly recommend you go to Worldview Mastery and you debate him when he's live, because that is his expertise. That argument literally implies that he created Earth wrong. No, it doesn't. And see, that's what I mean. It's a non sequitur. Rookie Friday. What's the number one goal that you're doing here? Well, you guys have already said it, to make money. To grift. A piece of advice for youngest people who chose Christ. Take time to know your Father in heaven before you worry about the world. That's my piece of advice. Take time to walk with your Father. Love him, be with him, and then go into the world. When Paul became a Christian, when Jesus convinced Paul of that he was to go to the Gentiles, Paul took 3 years, left, and just simply worshiped Christ for 3 years, and then he started his ministry. So that's what I'd say. Mm-hmm. All right, folks. I love you all. Thank you all for the support. Thank you for the guys. I know there's a good solid of people who always watch this content, and you're there in the background listening to this. I thank you guys for the support. The naysayers are always louder than the supporters, but know that I recognize you and I see you. God bless, and we'll see you all next time.